Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show, a 5-part weekly series.
He's Richard Roper, Chicago Sun-Times columnist, movie critic. He was given the early access to The Last Dance, the docuseries about the 1990 Bulls. Is there one of those oh my gosh moments in this documentary?
Favorite moments for me for the documentary is when the filmmakers, they'll hand Jordan a tablet. They play him, Isaiah Thomas, trying to rationalize why the Pistons didn't shake hands with the Bulls.
We thought that we deserved a little bit of respect as a champion. Everyone and every team could play and act like the Pistons and adopt our philosophy except the Pistons.
And Jordan looks at it and then in kind of an expletive-laden way calls Isaiah.
From the Mercedes Man Caves and Dan at Homes, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 1 on this Thursday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to have you part of the program in whatever way you can take part. If you watch, you listen, you tweet, you can email. You can also vote. We're down to the Hebrew National Championship. You can vote. We had over 2 million votes so far on Meat Madness, the contest, and it comes down to a number 5 seed, Angel in Florida, representing the Texas region, and Brendan, a number 1 seed from Ohio, representing the Carolina region. You have until Friday at 11:30 a.m., that's tomorrow, when we will announce the champion, and we will hand out a Traeger grill in response to that winning the championship there. Glad you're part of the program. We got a poll question. We got a play of the day. We got a couple of stats of the day. You can watch on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. It's free, all 3 hours. And you can also listen, 362 radio affiliates around the country. As plans are starting to develop to open up sports, leagues are facing the very real possibility of competing without fans. And there's a lot of factors to consider here. First of all, you have public safety. You have the financial impact. And then just the logistics of getting everybody in one area to try to play these games. But something that's harder to quantify is really the bond between fans and the competitors. You know, that adrenaline rush you get from hearing the roar of the crowd. You hit a last-second shot, you hit a home run, you strike somebody out with the bases loaded, the rituals of tailgating, the sense of community you have when your team goes out there rallying for the home team. And the stronger leagues can make this work financially. TV money has changed the way many sports are organized, and most of the industry should be able to survive without ticket revenue. As fans, we're hungry to watch. We want to watch something that's real, but something will be lost during the strange and unprecedented time. It'll be lost in translation there because we're going to be watching. We won't be there. They're going to be playing, but they won't hear us. It'll be something that we're not going to forget. Players are not going to forget, but hopefully it's a brief period that we'll be able to safely root for our favorite teams in person at some point. I know that we talk about jump-starting the economy, and everybody wants that to happen. I don't understand when we attach sports to jump-starting the economy. You jump-start the economy through sports if you're able to go to sports. If I can have 100,000 fans at the Big House, if I can get 20,000 at Staples Center, if I can get 90,000 at the Coliseum to watch USC football, that's helping to jumpstart the economy. If you're playing a game and I can't go to the game and all I'm doing is doing what I'm doing now and that's sitting at home, that's not jumpstarting the economy. So I disagree with the leaders who say, hey, this will help jumpstart the economy. Until we get to go to a game, it's not jumpstarting the economy. It jumpstarts our mood because now we have something that we can watch that's live. Instead of saying, hey, let me go back and watch something from 1972. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Bucks against the Detroit Pistons, which, by the way, I was watching this morning. Kareem is so great. He is so great back then. So was Oscar, too, his point guard. And then you had some people talking yesterday, people who get paid to do this. The Vice President Pence had a call with college commissioners, and you had some reaction to this. USA Today said part of the call had to do with differentiating college sports from professional leagues. Pro athletes can collectively bargain their working conditions in their return to play. College athletes cannot. In fact, the liability of bringing college sports back too soon and exposing athletes to infection could be significant. The commissioners, USA Today goes on to say, will be the main entity that will decide when college sports return, with input from the NCAA and medical personnel, of course. College football does not have a central authority. Most power is held by the Power 5 conferences, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC. You can't order them back. And you can't say to your athletes, hey, it's not safe enough for students to come back, but come on back. Not going to happen. Can't happen. And you can't say to them, they're student athletes. I think it really puts them in a precarious position. Imagine if your kids, your children are one of those players, and you can't go back to school, but we want you to go back and play football. If they have safeguards put in place where everybody is tested, where those who need to get tested can get tested, but then we start to look at the athletes and you want to get them tested, and you're going to do that on a weekly basis, all it takes is one person to test positive. And then you shut down. One person. Let's say Michigan's football comes back, one player tests positive. You shut it down. Right? Those are some of the hurdles that you have here. And that's where it's difficult. You're talking about a mayor in Los Angeles, Mayor Garcetti. You're talking about the governor, Gavin Newsom. They're not going to be having fans in Los Angeles at sporting events. Not anytime soon. The NFL is planning on this. I told you, I don't know if it's, I don't even know what day it is sometimes, but was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago? The NFL is looking at a truncated schedule that you're looking at 12 game, 14 game, maybe you get to 16 games, but they have to look at alternative plans here. Washington Post had that yesterday, Mark Maskey. While still publicly committed to kicking off its 2020 season in September to pack stadiums, the NFL has been contemplating contingencies that include a potentially shortened schedule, holding games in empty or partially filled stadiums, and moving or rescheduling games if necessary. That's three people familiar with the league's planning said on Wednesday. Yeah, I got that information 2 weeks ago, and they were looking at, it was probably going to be 12 games. I said, would they go down to 10? And I got a pause at the other end and said, probably not. They would want to try to get 12 games if possible. A lot of scenarios, and we should be thinking about scenarios. But I also think you got to, Mike Trout said yesterday to Mike Tirico on NBC Sports Network, look, I don't want to be quarantined for 4 months. My wife is pregnant. I can't leave to then be there for the birth of my first child. But they want to get paid. They need to get paid. So there's so many different loopholes here. Can I put a big bubble over Phoenix and Scottsdale and Chandler, Arizona, and say, yeah, go in there and it'll be safe? I hope it's safe. Can I do that to Florida where it's far more spread out? It's just a challenge here to try to do it. You got the WWE coming back. The UFC is going to be coming back. We're going to talk to the commissioner of golf, the PGA, tomorrow and ask about golf coming back. I can see golf coming back. There is social distancing. I could see tennis coming back. There's social distancing. I don't have any fans there. But you could still hold those types of events. You could do remote cameras with golf. Augusta could set that up right now. They have the money. They have the infrastructure there to just set up remote cameras. It's not going to look pretty. You'll have robotic cameras. That's what we have here in the man cave. Robotic cameras. One person is in control of that, set it up. Number of people, you limit the number of people who go out to work on the course, and you hold an event. The players understand social distancing, you and your caddy, that's about it. But I think you can do some of these sports. It's what are we rushing back for? It's not jump-starting the economy. And if it was, I'd say, okay, I understand. But if no fans can go, this is about TV revenue. This is about the TV networks here. This is about the players getting paid. That's not jump-starting any economy. But we continue to search here, and we continue to try to come up with scenarios, which we should. It's when we put a time frame on these leagues, on a decision. Look how many times we've done this, all of the sports. You know what? Should be able to come back in April. Hey, we're planning on coming back 1st of May. Hey, we're thinking about June. Hey, now there might not be football in the fall. Now we're talking about spring football. We're all over the place here. And that's where it gets dangerous, because you're pushing something that maybe it's the immovable force against the irresistible object. You got to be careful of how much we push, how much we open this up. And I have friends who live in states and say, what is the big deal here? I have a friend who lives in Arizona. He's playing golf every day. He goes, we don't see anything. This isn't a big deal out here. I said, well, it might be, but there are other parts of the country that are severely impacted by this. And you got to be fair to them. If you're, Rutgers playing in the New York City area, can you really host a game? Can you travel? Syracuse, can you travel? Can somebody, there are all these logistical nightmares. But I'm glad we're exploring it. And yes, we all want it to come back. But I just don't think anything's coming back anytime soon. There's going to be a whole lot of pressure to do it. I just don't know if we could do it and make it safe for everybody. This program is brought to you by LegalZoom. You need to make it legal. Make it LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. And I don't get on any political soapbox. I try not to. I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm being honest with you in what I see, what I hear, and what I think. There are no political. I don't want to weaponize anything that has to do with COVID-19. I don't. I had the opportunity to go to Yale Hospital 2 days ago with my wife, who makes ice cream, and she wanted to hand it out to workers just to show up and say, let's put a smile on their face. And you're witnessing the front lines. They have 400 cases of coronavirus there. And you could see in their faces, they're shell-shocked. They're like, oh, my God, thank you. Like they just wanted something that said, thank you. Smile on your face, just anything. And they said, well, how come you're here? And I said, look, I'm along for the ride just to try to get some credit here with my wife. She's the one that's wanted to come here. And they said, thank you. No one on the streets. No one. It's like a ghost town in New Haven, Connecticut. At Yale, one of the great hospitals in the world. And you could just see what they're going through. So you can't go, hey, let's just be cavalier about this. You can't be. If you're around it, you see it, you feel it. And I'm fortunate that I'm safe and my kids are and nobody has contracted this. But I feel lucky that I'm able to do this every single day. So just understand, it might not be where you are, but it could. And it is affecting a lot of people. Maybe not as many people as we thought, but it's still affecting quite a few people. New York City is apocalyptic. You don't even, people who've been in New York and people who have to live in New York and stay in New York and stay in their apartment tell me, you just look outside and there's no life. There's nothing. It's just, you can hear echoes when people talk. So it's haunting, and that's why I always caution. Let's not put a time frame on this. Let's understand exactly what we have in front of us here. Attack it together, and hopefully we get something in our lives that we've come to appreciate, expect, take for granted, and that is sports back in an arena, in a football stadium. All of those things, which I think we could all use some comfort right now when it comes to that. All right, 877-3DP-SHOW, email address dp@danpatrick.com, Twitter handle at DP Show. We'll get to phone calls coming up. McLovin, you got a poll question for me?
I don't know if this is an actual poll question, but if we put up, are you okay having sports without fans? How do people respond to that?
At this point, I'm fine with it, but I don't have an option.
Do you think most fans feel that way?
Well, you can put it up there, but we don't have an option. So it doesn't feel like there's any other answer than, yeah, I'll take sports because we have no other choice here. Yeah,
I have another question too. You said that it won't jumpstart the economy from like a dollars and cents standpoint, but is there like a financial value of lifting the mood of the country and putting sports on TV? I feel like sometimes like the stock market's all based on the mood of the country anyway. So I feel like lifting the mood has a value.
Maybe so. I'm just talking about these smaller cities, these college cities, college towns, small businesses, people who rely on tailgates and that they supply food, that you come in, there's takeout, there's atmosphere. Like, that's the economy I'm talking about. It's the little guy who's being crushed here. You know, bigger business, they'll survive. They'll take a hit, but they'll survive. The smaller guys, that's where you go into these, you know, you go to Lambeau, and you know there's certain places you can go there and eat. You know, you can go there and drink. Like, those people, they're the ones that are hurt. They've been stung and may not recover. So when you jumpstart an economy and our mood changes and the stock market goes up, okay, but that's not what I'm talking about when we're dealing with the economy. Yeah, McLevin. You're not on, Andy.
Sorry, another question about college sports. Do you think that this will end up getting payers played or just change the whole structure of college sports? Because you said they can't go back as regular students. Is there any chance that they like label them professionals and go back?
Well, Paulie and I talked about this yesterday after the show. Can you just say, look, we're going to treat you as college employees. Then we pay you minimum wage. Like, I wonder what the future of the NCAA is going to be. I do. I think big picture, I wonder what the NCAA is going to be after this year, after we get through this pandemic. I don't know. Are we going to expand? Are we going to rip up that contract with the Final Four that ESPN has and make it 16 teams? Because you have, that might be the lifeblood for some of these, a lot of these universities with their secondary sports. They may all go under. And it started with Cincinnati saying we're getting rid of our soccer program because they were going to save close to $8 million over the next 10 years. And then you had Old Dominion canceling their wrestling program, I think. They opened the door. And all bets are off right now. So I just think there's so much attached to this. And as much as we want to come up with game plans, using caution is the smartest thing that we can do. How can I ensure safety for these football players when they come back? How can I ensure safety for these baseball players when they come back? The NBA, if it comes back. Fans aren't going to be able to go out. I'm of the mindset I will not see a game in person probably in the next year. Like, I really wonder when we could actually go back. When do you feel confident? When do you feel safe going back? Because as we found out with Rudy Gobert, when one guy tests positive, he brought down an entire league. And you extrapolate that, he basically brought down sports. Because now we realize there's something really attached to this. Now it could hit anybody. Now it could be the people who came in contact with him, the referees who did a game. They contracted this. You know, what other players? Donovan Mitchell. And then, you know, we're fans around this, the training staff. Like, it just trickles down there. And that's where trying to jumpstart the economy, I hope we can. And I hope sports plays a large role in that. But I just don't see that happening. We'll come up with a poll question today. We'll talk about the Bulls documentary. And also, there was talk yesterday with Odell Beckham Jr., the third, maybe being traded. I'm going to say it was more of I'm hearing or a rumor by a sports host, a WFAN in New York. I did some work on that and have an update on the possibility that Odell Beckham Jr. was on the trading block to the Minnesota Vikings. 19 after the hour, just getting started here. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Discover, because they're doing some great things. Discover makes it quick and easy for you to find out your credit score. Now, you might say, well, why do I need to do that? Well, the FICO credit score, that's the score used by 90% of top lenders, and you get that for free, even if you're not a customer. Checking your score won't hurt your credit, and you can check each month for changes. Also, check out the Discover credit card. I carried it with me over the summer when I went on vacation. The Discover Credit Scorecard, it's free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations do apply.
Another hypothetical. What if there was a hole in your pool and you did a really good job sealing it with a certain kind of material? What would that be?
Caulk off.
A caulk off.
Well, that would be for your bathtub.
Bathtub, yes.
Yeah, not your pool.
Well,
I actually Googled. They use it on pools too, but bathtub would have been better.
Thank you, McLovin.
Should I walk off?
Yeah, yes.
if you're a school teacher and you write a lesson on a blackboard, it's really, really good. That's
It's
called a
chalk off.
That's right.
Greatest show on turf. The running back there would have
A
a
falk off. Let's be careful here.
I know with caulk and
Yeah.
falk.
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
really treading.
Oh, no, Fritzy.
I was going to say, if we're having a contest, who could eat the most sausages? That would be a.
Sausage off.
The judges were looking for pork off. Pork off.
Oh.
Pork.
If you come to a spot in the road and you pick the right road to go down, that would be a
Fork
a
off?
fork off. There you go.
Those don't rhyme.
But you realize that none of those rhyme with the jokes that we've been making.
You just had to get in the conversation, didn't you?
A
I thought we were
sausage
looking-
off.
I thought we were going with walk off, talk off, and that's why I did pork off and fork off.
You should actually
Pork.
change
I
it's
should fork
pork.
off
It's
then.
not pork.
Like walk and pork.
It's a talk, caulk, chalk,
Fork.
and you went pork.
I went pork off.
Yeah.
Like-
See how that doesn't work?
Yeah,
like
I tried
Mar-
too hard there.
His name's not Marshall Fork.
Yeah.
Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Fritzy.
What if
Try-
you had a
try to
line
find a
that was
guess or
so
something.
Maybe
bad?
Sausage
yeah.
off.
Okay. Does everybody want to talk now?
Sausage off. Said.
Yes, McLovin.
What if Michael Jordan's agent retired?
It would be a falk off.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
But he already had Marshall Falk. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
It's kind of same joke.
You got there. Got it back on track, though.
I'm waiting for Fritzy to say, what's a dog do? It's a bark off?
If the star of the TV show Columbo left the set, that'd be a Peter.
Falk off.
There you go.
Yeah.
What if the
Oh,
Memphis
God.
commercial columnist Jeff
Calkins?
had a great column?
It would be a Calkins off?
Calkin.
Pretty good.
Macaulay Calkin.
In Kansas, they do a J.
Hawk off.
Nice. There you go. Getting back on track.
Oh, we're getting it back.
I'm just worried we may head to a territory where we just can't get out of here. Yes, Fritzy.
When the guy from The Wrestler officially retires from acting, that would be a
Again.
A Rourke
A
off?
Rourke off. There
No,
you go.
no. you don't get it, do you?
Do you hear what's coming out of your mouth?
Why can't?
It's
Why
a
are we not?
talk, and that's a Rourke. It's
Depends how you
it-
say it. A rock off.
No, it's not a rock
A
off.
rock off.
It would be a rock off.
You don't think rock sounds like
It's-
talking?
No, it smells like it's like pork off.
You don't think Rourke sounds like talk?
What
you
rhymes
say-
with no freaking
If you
clue?
say rock off, Mickey Rourke.
No, what are you, Eminem? You're trying to change the pronunciation of a word here? Mickey Rock? Are you Mike Francesa?
MC Clueless.
I thought I had something there.
You went 0 for 3, A-Rod.
I should look for a guest.
An
or something.
A-Rod off. Anything else?
Yeah, that's about it.
All righty. Make sure you check out the Dan Patrick Show store, danpatrick.com. Get them while they're hot. Soon to be collector's items. The only place where you can buy the controversial Tampa Bay t-shirt. What kind of numbers do we have on the Tampa Bay T-shirts there, Seton?
They're doing well.
Doing well.
I think we got 7 left on the shelf.
We
Honestly.
do?
Yeah, we have 7 left.
Well, I know we have a couple here in the mail room.
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
This is one of the few shirts that we've actually gotten people writing in, like, "Hey, can I get one of those?" Like, not just like fans of the show or whatever. Other people that are like, "Hey, can you send me one of those?"
Also, people might be in the industry type people.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell them to order. Go to danpatrick.com. Come on. No special treatment around here. Just ask the Danettes. All right, I did some research yesterday, did some homework when I saw the report. I don't know if it was a report. Andy, can you tell me exactly how that was presented by a host on WFAN?
Yeah, I believe it was Mark Belusis said that he was hearing that the Vikings and Browns were taught. Yeah, it was a hearing talking about that Odell trade.
Okay. All right. So, if it's a report, that's one thing. But I'm hearing, then I sort of go, okay. I hear a lot of things, and a lot of things I don't tell you because I'm just hearing. That doesn't mean that it's happening. So I thought, all right, let me reach out to a source. And I said, let me see. Why would OBJ want to go to the Vikings, run-oriented, defensive-minded head coach? And my source said, well, he can be the number 1 wide receiver on a very good team. Offense is run by Kubiak, and the staff includes his son. They've been together for a while. And I said, yeah, but Minnesota? They need a big-time guy since trading Diggs. They go from one hard-to-coach wide receiver to another. And I said, well, exactly. Like, why does Minnesota want to bring in Odell Beckham Jr. when you just had Stephon Diggs who wanted to get out of Minnesota? And I know OBJ is great. I get it, all of that stuff. I don't want him. And if anything, if I'm Cleveland, I want to see if I can make this work with Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry. I want to see if now everybody's got to change. The problem I have with OBJ is I think Baker Mayfield tried to force the ball to him to make him happy. I want to go to OBJ as much as I can, but when you force it and you're not looking elsewhere, then it affects the overall performance of the offense. So then I got a text this morning from the same source, and he says, sounds like the Vikings are more inclined to draft a wide receiver than make that trade. And I said, how come? And he said, more of the same headaches. Look, we're hoping for stories like this, but the reality of this is Mike Zimmer's a tough-minded guy. He's not going to put up with this. That head coach is not. Why you don't trade for that? Stephon Diggs was already there, and then Stephon Diggs maybe became a different player, and then you want your touches because, hey, I had this unbelievable catch to beat I'm something now. I need to have the ball. I need my touches. But you're not looking for a headache. And that's what you would be doing if you trade for OBJ. You're going, hey, let's look for another headache here. No, that doesn't make any sense. I want to see what Baker Mayfield does. There's a lot attached to this season, I think, with Baker Mayfield. It may not be, success or bust for him, but, we'll get close to that if he has another year where he struggles. But he has to stop zeroing in on one guy. The great quarterbacks spread it around. Go back to one of my favorite moments and painful moments because I was a Bengal fan back then when Joe Montana leads them down and they score the touchdown under a minute to go, and he throws it to John Taylor. Because you know what they did? They put Jerry Rice as a tight end. And Joe knew Jerry was going to confuse them and open things up, and John Taylor had single coverage, and he threw it to John Taylor. One of the biggest moments in 49er history and the greatest wide receiver of all time was a decoy. That's the interesting part of that. Use all of the weapons you have. And if Baker Mayfield's going to be great, he has to go back to that rookie year where simplify it. Don't try to be Brett Favre. Just make the plays that are there in front of you because that team is so good and so talented, I should say. Not good, but talented. And I think that'll be interesting to see what happens with the Cleveland Browns. Trading Odell Beckham, I wouldn't have brought him in the first place. and don't I don't want somebody to take this out of context. I'm fascinated watching him, but understand I was fascinated watching Jameis Winston. OBJ is an incredible talent. He's an entertainer. I don't like entertainers. I like guys who know what they do and how they make a team better. Entertainer, boy, that sounds so singular and selfish, and that makes me nervous here. I know wide receivers are divas, but even Jerry Rice was a team player. He would come back and tell Montana, and Montana says this, hey, I'm open. You got to throw me the ball. Well, the quarterback has to be able to say, I'll get it to you. I had somebody else, and that's where the coach comes in and says, look, it doesn't run through you, Odell. The offense does not run through you. You complement the offense because it's an entire offense, not just you. And I never met a wide receiver who wasn't open, by the way. Mary Kay Cabot, she covers the Browns, does a great job. She had this to say about the possibility of trading Odell Beckham Jr.
I haven't gotten any sense so far that there really is anything to it. Now, that doesn't mean that a conversation or a phone call didn't take place. It doesn't mean somebody didn't try, didn't inquire. But as of right now, from everything that I understand, there is just nothing there.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean something won't happen. But from what I'm told this morning, my source said that more likely to trade. Every team in the draft will get a wide receiver, by the way. That's how deep this draft is for every single one.
So all 32 teams in the first round?
No, they're not all taking.
Okay.
Yeah. In the draft, they're going to get a quality wide receiver. That's how I think there's 42 that are considered quality wide receivers. That's how deep this wide receiving field is. That everybody's going to get a wide. You get one, and it'll be like Oprah. You get a wide receiver, and you get a wide receiver. Did we settle on a poll question, McLevin?
I actually kind of want to go with a uniform question, maybe.
Okay.
Keep it light on the poll question.
Okay.
So the Browns came out with a new uniform. It's kind of old school.
Right.
I'm going to ask you to put your 18-year-old shoes on. You're a recruit. Would you go with an old school uniform or a new school uniform? New school like our friends at Oregon.
Oregon, Baylor,
like
Louisville.
Yeah, somebody who changes it up every week.
Penn State, Michigan with the old school. I as much as I hated Michigan growing up, I still think Michigan's got one of the great uniforms in all of sports. I do. Ohio State's been varying theirs. They change it up a little bit with their helmets, jerseys there. But, and Penn State's, it's sharp. But if I'm an 18-year-old, I didn't like Penn State's uniform back then. Yes, Paul.
Dan, I'm with you. I was raised Irish Catholic, Southside Chicago. I had no choice but to be a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah.
But I can remember maybe 8 or 9 years old, I watched a Michigan football game, and I was probably the first time I saw them and watched them. I was like, and I saw those helmets and the look and Anthony Carter and the gold pants and the maize pants, and I was like, I like that. And Fritzy did the same thing with the Broncos. I know it's
no question.
Yeah,
I love the old school ones. I know a lot of the kids may not understand or appreciate tradition, but if you get a chance to play for a team that's been around 150 years or whatever, and everything has pretty much stayed the same, I'd want to wear one of those with the tradition.
Yeah, I understand that it's marketing, and because I don't like it doesn't mean. I mean, I'm not their target audience. If you got an 18-year-old or 22-year-old, they're like, yeah, it looks pretty cool. They're not going to be buying into what I grew up with and say, yeah, that looks awesome. That looks classic. You're going to get, that's why the Rams took a chance on their uniforms. It's not for me because I'm going to go, well, what are you doing? I think of Roman Gabriel, Jack Snow. Like, what are you doing to me? I don't want, then we become the get off my lawn guy when it comes to uniforms. They're not marketing for me because I haven't bought a jersey since Archie Manning with the Saints is the last time I think I bought a jersey.
And that's a great jersey.
Yeah, it is. It was. Now, I have a lot of jerseys in here, but I haven't bought any jerseys in a long, long time. You might think that this is the Michael Jordan documentary. It's the Bulls documentary, and it will start airing on Sunday. Michael's already come out and had that preemptive strike to basically say, when you watch this, you're probably not going to like who I am. But that's who so he was on Good Morning America with Robin Roberts. And that was a whole different Michael Jordan because he was emotional and he was funny. And I don't know if you like looking at yourself when you're younger. I think Michael this is what Mike had to do to become Michael Jordan. He pushed you. He pushed himself. But as he says in the documentary, I didn't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do. He wanted to push you. He picked on people. He also talked about Jerry Krause, who was one of the architects of the Bulls back then, told the head coach Phil Jackson that Phil was not going to be coming back, hence the last dance. This was courtesy of Good Morning America.
The beginning of the season, it basically started when Jerry Krause told Phil that he can go 82-0 and he would never get the chance to come back. And knowing that I married myself to him, obviously, and if he wasn't going to be a coach, then obviously I wasn't going to play. So Phil started off the year by saying this is the last dance, and we played it that way. So mentally it just kind of tugged at you throughout the course of the year, but that this had to come to an end. But it also centered our focus to making sure we end it right.
So that's Michael Jordan. That was courtesy of Good Morning America. Imagine you have a team that's still in its prime. You have Jordan, you have Pippen, you have Rodman, and why not max this out one more year? You're going to win another championship here. All you're doing is writing a check. Like, how much is that? Is it $50 million that you're going to spend? $30 million to Mike, but you're making money. You're making tons of money. And ego getting in the way is truly amazing. But ego gets in the way of dynasties all the time. Go back to Shaq and Kobe. Ego got in the way. The greatest band of all time, the Beatles, ego got in the way. You don't want to be around this person. You can do it without this person. Hey, I'll show you. I built this. I can build another one. Amazing. And it's something that it's hard to quantify that when you see somebody, their ego. Like, what is that ego and what's it mean? You can say Magic and his ego. How he played. He was selfless. Bird, his ego. Different than Michael Jordan's ego. Hey, I don't want to throw it to you because I'm better than you, so why would I throw it to you because I should be the one taking the shot? And then two of the biggest shots in Bulls history were by John Paxson and Steve Kerr. It's ego. It's about winning. Is it winning together? Is it winning in spite? You want to show that you can do it? Kobe wanted to, disassemble and say, I can do it without Shaq. Shaq wanted to prove that he could do it without Kobe in Miami. Phil Jackson, you don't want me here in Chicago? I'll go to L.A. I'll do it again. But ego. And, you try to put that in the proper perspective, and it's hard to do because you're going, wait, why do you have a problem with him? Why don't you want Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens? Problem there. Teammates, problem. Went to war together in a Super Bowl. Ego. Was the ego of Tom Brady's or ego of Bill Belichick? How involved was that with the Patriots? Tom's ego saying, I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo around him. Trade him. Robert Kraft trades him. The ego of Bill Belichick saying, all right, you got what you wanted. Now let me see what you can do when you go someplace else, and I'm coaching the Patriots. Ego. Yeah, Paul.
The 97-98 Bulls with Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, all that crew, Kerr, they were 69 and 97-98. I'm sorry, we're 62-20, and of course they won the NBA Finals. Do you know the roster of the team the next year that won 13 games?
Well, that was Tim Floyd's team.
Yeah, Tony Kukoc was the holdover.
Didn't they have a guy out of Iowa State?
Marcus Fizer? The Marcus Fizer era? I think that was 1 year later.
Oh, okay.
Because they got a high draft pick.
Yeah.
They had Brent Barry, Ron Harper, Randy Brown, Dickie Simpkins, Mark Bryant, Andrew Lang, Cornell David. Those were the starting 8 rotation.
Wait, Granville Waiters wasn't on the roster
Granny
still?
Waiters, no.
No, he was not.
The Eddie Curry era? You didn't want to fast forward to that?
Oh, I know. But that was Tyson Chandler. Like, Tyson Chandler has carved out an unbelievable career. But not at first. Remember when you had those high school guys, and they took both of those guys. And Eddie Curry, do I still have the Eddie Curry Dallas Mavericks jersey around here?
It's in the bathroom. It's Mark Cuban sent it to us, said it's the largest jersey the Mavericks ever made. And he used, I think he used it for 4 games.
It could be a prom dress. It's so long. It could be a formal. That is a huge, huge uniform. All right, we'll come back. We're going to talk about the best uniforms and an updated list here. Paul Lukas is going to join us. He does Uniwatch, and he actually helps rank the best uniforms that we have in sports. I was surprised that USA Today put out a list, the number 1 uniform in the NFL. We'll see if the Browns are rising on that with their new uniform. What about the Buccaneers? We'll talk to him coming up next, and our play of the day after this. We still have fun with the, was it the SNL audition on the roof?
The Get Off the Shed.
Yeah, Get Off the Shed.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Get Off the Shed, yeah.
It's the whole bit, but it's worth
Get Off the Shed, which the thing I love most about that bit.
But you're auditioning.
I'm auditioning.
Okay.
From a creative standpoint, I love the fact that why is this shed so important? And what is it? What is this shed? Is it just a little gardening shed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
he goes ballistic.
Okay, so recreate the scene here.
Right.
Who's watching you audition to
I'm
be on Saturday
auditioning
Night Live?
for Saturday Night Live. It is a sketch I'd done at the Groundlings to great success, where I'm a suburban dad at a barbecue having, banal, small talk.
Yeah.
And occasionally you hear me go, "Hey, can you be a buddy and get off the shed?" Anyway, have you been golfing with Pete Henderson? I understand he's a 4 handicap. Can you believe that? Hey, buddy, get off the shed. Okay. Anyway, you going to the PTA meeting? Yeah, I think I'll see you there. Hey, get off the shed! So I said to Bob, anyway, it keeps escalating. I will beat you with my belt if you don't get off the shed! And then it just keeps going back and forth. Now, I'm doing this to an empty studio. There's no one there but a camera guy and a boom guy. And Lorne Michaels is in the shadows.
Can you hear him laughing?
No, there's no.
Uh-oh.
I'm in a void. And I'm just doing that thinking,
that's so good.
I don't know. I wonder I hope this works.
Oh,
but I became known from the auditions as the Get Off the Shed guy.
Dan, very excited. A lot of uniform changes. You know I nerd out about uniform changes in all sports. So in your inbox is the groundbreaking, wild, revolutionary change to the Cleveland Browns uniforms. Click on it now, please. Prepare yourselves.
Ooh. Nice.
All right.
Barely recognize them. Is it still the Browns?
That's good. Yeah, that's an actual Browns uniform from their website. So they didn't do much. They kind of just it's almost like a backyard cleanup in the spring. They just kind of tidied it up and made it look like it did 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, it's like they cleaned up sort of like the hair on the back of the neck, but didn't really get a full haircut.
Yeah. That said, they look fantastic, but people, I think, are disappointed.
But also, aren't people saying that these are the pre-Raven jerseys before they went to Baltimore?
It's weird because the Browns uniforms, there was a lot of expectations for them, and now everyone's really disappointed because they look like the same old Browns. Now, is that on the field or off? McLovin, eat that.
Google the 19 Browns, and you will not know the difference. This is minuscule. If there are actually any changes, I couldn't tell. I looked at last year's highlights. I'm like, wait, is this a new jersey or the old jersey?
Which is weird, too, because it's a good-looking uniform.
Yeah.
I think they look great.
The socks are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But remember they had something down the pant leg?
Yeah, they had kind of a browns down one leg instead of a stripe.
And I've had that before.
Wow.
Whoop.
Todd's wheelhouse.
I like them. Anytime you can go old school and throwback, I'm all in on that.
Thank you, Todd.
He's a father who goes the extra mile. Sports celebrities for a bar mitzvah video.
Congratulations on your bar mitzvah.
Mazel tov. VIP treatment at Broncos games.
Todd's son got into school yesterday.
Jordan Drew Fritz will be attending Syracuse University.
And now, putting his kids through college.
Very proud and excited.
A role model for all parents across America.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, man! A dad that could never embarrass his kids.
Okay, I have a hernia. Okay.
Todd Fritz, Father of the Year.
Oh, congratulations! Let me give you a clappity clap.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're going to play it and play it.
This is the play of the day.
Check this out.
Paxson dances left in the dribble, gives to Jordan. Michael across lane, got it knocked away, got it back, fakes, lays it in. He's over 3,000 for the year now. 23 straight points for Jordan. A standing O in Chicago Stadium.
Little Andre 3000 outcast here with Roses. Andre 3000 and Michael Jordan. 3,000 points in a single season. Only the second player in NBA history to score 3,000 in a single season. Hasn't been done since then. That was 33 years ago today, courtesy of WFLD. You forget in that clip where you go, and Jordan has scored 23 consecutive points. Play of the day brought to you by LegalZoom. LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today. The right estate plan, LegalZoom.com. More on Michael and the documentary coming up at the top of the hour. We saw where the Cleveland Browns' new uniforms. We also have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons. Paul Lukas actually does this for a living. He looks at uniforms. He's the founder and editor of Uniwatch.com. What do you think of the Cleveland Browns' new edition?
Dan, I think it's a great example of moving forward by going backward. They basically went back to their classic look, which they never really should have gone away from. When you look at these new uniforms, you think this is what the Cleveland Browns are supposed to look like. And it's sort of a question of how did they get it so disastrously wrong 5 years ago with the set that they're now moving away from.
How did the Rams get to where they are now, where you have one of their legends, Eric Dickerson, who works for the Rams, railing against the Rams with their new logo here?
You know, the Rams have done something that is a little uncommon and I think in a way is a little unfair to the fan base, and that is instead of unveiling their entire new identity, meaning logos, uniforms, the works, they just did the logos, and they're going to do the uniforms sometime in May after the draft. And it's not clear, they haven't said if that's because the uniforms aren't ready yet or if they just are trying to sort of draw out the suspense. But it really isn't. It does a disservice to the fan base, and I think a disservice to your own marketing program when you release logos without the full context, because it's hard. You know, for an NFL team, a logo could be appearing on your helmet or not, and you know, with the Rams, probably not, because they're probably going to keep ram horns on the helmet. And you really need to see the context of these logos. And so, yeah, you have fans and you have ex-players like Eric Dickerson saying we don't like these logos, but really, what matters is the uniform, and that's the the most primary thing, especially for a team like the Rams, which, as I said, are almost certainly not going to wear their logo on their helmet. So I think, and we're going to have to wait and see where that goes with the Rams. But I don't think they've done themselves or their fan base any favors by doing this two-part unveiling.
Well, what is the target demo for these new uniforms? I mean, the reason why I bring it up is the Rams aren't marketing to me. The Browns aren't marketing to me. The Atlanta Falcons aren't marketing to my age group. So what if I don't like it? I'm not the one buying these jerseys unless I'm buying it for my son or grandson. And that, then they're still getting their money out of this. So if you were going to say, what's the sweet spot for, marketing these uniforms, what would it be?
Well, I think it depends on what you think the function of the uniform is. You're suggesting that it basically is just a piece of merchandise, and that's certainly part of it. But it's also the thing we see when we watch a game every Sunday. It's what we look at and connect with. When we turn on the TV. And, the famous Jerry Seinfeld line that we're all rooting for laundry is largely true. The players come and go, they get traded, they retire, but we keep rooting for that uniform no matter which player is wearing it. And that's an important thing as well. So while you could say that, only the 18 to 34-year-old demographic is what, who buys the jerseys, but they are marketing to you. They are marketing, to me or my dad or whoever, because those are fans as well. And those are the people you want to connect with your team and have an emotional attachment.
Yeah, but
to your team.
I won't turn my team off or pick another team because they have a crappy uniform.
No, but you may feel like a little warmer and fuzzier about it, and that can translate to other things. I mean, you look at teams like the Packers or the Cowboys, or or the Rams for that matter. Rams fans, and I can tell you because I hear from a lot of them, Rams fans feel really strongly about that helmet with the curly ram horns on it, and they're going to be and think of the NFL. We feel really strongly about NFL helmets, right? Like, what do you have in your studio or TV studios? They have the helmets of the two teams that are playing because that is almost a de facto logo for an NFL team, is its helmet. And we don't buy helmets. Helmets are not merchandise. I mean, you may buy a sticker that shows a helmet or, a mini helmet or something like that. But in general, the helmet is not a major piece of merchandise. But it's a really important piece, arguably the cornerstone of any team's visual branding program. And so I do think it goes beyond just the merchandise sales.
All right, final minute here. If you ran the Buccaneers, what would you do with the uniforms?
Personally, I go back to the creamsicles and bring back Bucko Bruce because I have a soft spot for that. But I certainly think they similar to the Browns, they rejected the sort of Nike approach of let's go newfangled, let's kind of break the mold, let's push the envelope, and let's leave people scratching their heads thinking, what the hell are you doing there? And let's go back to basics. And so they are now going back to their classic Super Bowl era uniform. And again, I think that's an improvement, even though it's a step backwards on the timeline, but I think it's a step upwards in terms of design quality.
Great to talk to you again, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
That's Paul Lukas, founder and editor of Uniwatch.com. USA Today, I'm going to give you the top 10 here. These are their favorite jerseys. Philadelphia Eagles come in at number 10. 10th best uniform in the NFL. Number 9, the Minnesota Vikings. I do like the Vikings. I think in person, I like it better. I think it's underrated. The Dallas Cowboys are at 8. I love that. I mean, I hated the Cowboys growing up, but I love the uniform. I love the star. Okay, number 7 is going to, maybe it'll surprise you. The Indianapolis Colts. I like the horseshoe. I like the color. I'm surprised they're that high. Let me see. Number 6, the LA Rams. I'll get to the top 5 coming up, top of next hour. Tease! 1 hour in the books on the Dan Patrick Show.
enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yes, a little bit, just a tiny bit. You can see it in your faces.
You guys saw it last night.
I feel terrible that you guys missed that big steak dinner.
We really haven't eaten much since.
I wouldn't.
So you're all in on the Hawaiian shirts then, no matter what the weather.
That's it. I feel it's a comfort zone thing. I got boat shoes on and a Hawaiian shirt. I'm in my comfort zone. It helps me relax.
You're a tough guy.
Am I a tough guy? Underneath? Yeah.
Oh, you look like you were a wrestler.
I wrestled and played football in high school.
Could you take Paulie?
Are you pitting me against Paulie right now?
Well, Paulie will do this occasionally where he'll pit himself against some. He took on...
It feels like that's just happening.
Did you see his face? Jay Moore was good. There? Oh.
What?
No.
Ready to go.
No, remember,
if you ask me, if you call me
remember the NCAA champ?
If I'm called to fight, I will.
That's the
four-time NCAA champ. Paulie wrestled him.
How'd he do, Paulie?
Oh, I got pinned in 12 seconds.
Wait, Super Bowl week, he loves to rumble.
Paulie just took off his glasses, Case, in case you want to peek. Just saying.
Do we take our mics off first and then we go?
No, your microphone is on.
You
want to peek? You can do it right now.
Is there money on this?
Be the segment.
We have a good relationship.
Oh, I know, but this is Paulie's way of acknowledging.
You're probably going to beat me. You seem more of like a steady base.
I mean, are we doing this now?
Yeah, go ahead. All right. Now, are you guys just okay? Here we go.
Do you feel that grip on the handshake, Paul?
Yeah, we're doing it.
He's got some strong bars.
Yeah, we're doing it. Case.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Give it.
Okay.
Not a lot of room for you.
Hey, here we go. Okay. Okay.
Throw the towel.
Well, that didn't take long.
Throw the damn towel. That was back. That was unbelievable.
Sometimes I have good ideas on this show, and sometimes I don't.
What just happened?
I don't know what just happened.
Did you hear that slam?
Casey Webb, Man versus Food. And I said, Case, you look like you were a wrestler. And he goes, a wrestler and football player in high school. Paulie takes his glasses off, stands up, and it's go time. Casey grabbed him, slammed him down. Now, we're on the 8th floor of this condominium that we're in with our man cave. I'm going to guess on the first floor, you probably heard Paulie thumping as Casey Webb sent him to the floor. Paulie's got a flask here, and he's going to take a little sip there. Case, welcome to the show. That's quite an entrance there by
Hey,
by
thanks
you.
for having me. I hope that didn't ruin our relationship.
Paulie, all right?
That's one of the stronger dudes we've had in here. Jay Moore was strong. Kyle Dick was strong. Casey's like a wombat. He just attacked me and put me into the wall.
I mean, for me, it's when you're told to perform, you perform. You don't play slapbox.
I like that Paulie, when you didn't realize Paulie took his glasses off and then he stood up and he wanted a piece of you. And you go, are we really going to do this? I said, yes. And then you grabbed him and then threw him to the floor.
He also kind of snugged me up like a boa constrictor around a little, like a little animal. Just
wanted to squeeze the air out of you, so you had no chance of getting out of that locker.
Breathing going up.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Assumptions.
Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show, a 5-part weekly series.
He's Richard Roper, Chicago Sun-Times columnist, movie critic. He was given the early access to The Last Dance, the docuseries about the 1990 Bulls. Is there one of those oh my gosh moments in this documentary?
Favorite moments for me for the documentary is when the filmmakers, they'll hand Jordan a tablet. They play him, Isaiah Thomas, trying to rationalize why the Pistons didn't shake hands with the Bulls.
We thought that we deserved a little bit of respect as a champion. Everyone in every team could play and act like the Pistons and adopt our philosophy except the Pistons.
And Jordan looks at it and then in kind of an expletive-laden way calls Isaiah.
From the Mercedes Man Caves and Dan at Homes, this is Dan Patrick.
Hope you're safe. Welcome to Hour 2 on this Thursday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Spend some time talking about the new Cleveland Browns uniform. Also, the possibility of getting back to the new normal, and that is sports, but no fans in attendance. You know, the college commissioners, you have the different leagues. Baseball looking at, can you try to do a protective bubble of sorts in Arizona and Florida and have the players self-quarantine, get tested, and go out and play baseball, but no fans will be in the stands. And the vice president of the United States involved in a call. You've got all these commissioners. We'll talk to the commissioner of the PGA Tour. He'll join us tomorrow. Golf is starting to get maybe a little closer to inching back, having some competition there, because there's other tournaments. We look at the majors. British Open canceled. You know, the Masters has been pushed back to November. U.S. Open has been pushed back. PGA Championship's been pushed back, not canceled. But the British Open has been canceled. But there's other golf events that are going to be happening before those majors. So we'll talk to Commissioner Monahan. He'll join us coming up tomorrow. We were talking about best uniforms. USA Today had the rankings here. Do you know the worst uniform ranking? And I don't think this is fair, but I think we look at the franchise, therefore the uniform. A uniform looks better when you win. Let's face it. The creamsicle uniforms with the Buccaneers didn't look great when they came out in the 70s because they weren't very good. They had the Selman brothers, and that was about it. Steve Spurrier, Steve Young came in for a brief visit. Doug Williams came in. The worst uniform in the NFL. This according to USA Today. You guys want to guess? Nick Levin, I'll start with you. Worst uniform.
Based on your teas, the Bengals, because they've been bad.
Bengals? No, they're not in the bottom 10 right now. Here's the description. Hideous color scheme wed to a logo that rubs people the wrong way. Paulie?
Washington Redskins.
Yes, come on down.
Wow.
Yeah. The second worst uniform. Remember when the Bills were using all that piping and heavy color swatching all over the shoulders a decade ago? You would have thought that no one would ever try to replicate that look. Alas, the Arizona Cardinals. Second worst uniforms. This according to Nate Davis, USA Today. I thought this would be the team that had the worst uniforms just because of their helmets. The 30th ranked uniform in the NFL is?
Jaguars.
Yes. Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, Paul.
Jacksonville's cleaned it up in the past 3 years. They've cleaned up the helmets, and they also went with that white-on-white, almost like a Penn State look with that uniform, which Leonard Fournette looks even more fearsome with. They've cleaned up Jacksonville a little bit.
Is the problem with Jacksonville really just the helmet?
For me, it is. Well, I can't get
other
past
than that, it's a pretty solid uniform.
Well, I didn't know what that color was. Like it wasn't brown and it wasn't gold, and I didn't know what it was. So that was one of those. If I went to crayons or Sherman-Williams, I'd go, what color is this? And I'm not quite sure. That bothered me. The 29th ranked uniform. They ripped Atlanta's rollout on Twitter, but a team that looks more XFL than NFL doesn't have a paw to stand on. Your Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
28th is the Cleveland Browns. Wow. Okay. 27 is the Titans. I hate the the numerals on there. The imagery of a Roman centurion is kind of cool with the shoulder flaps and the sword sheath on the hip, but the Navy helmets were an upgrade that just too much going on here.
I disagree a little bit. I think the Titans have some nice color combos. It gets a little busy, but they have a SEC, old school 70s SEC feel, even though SEC wasn't around in the 70s.
It's a terrible use of a great color in those uniforms.
Okay. All right, this one's going to hurt. It's not just it's just not wearing well as 1990s as friends, and the problem is amplified by how sharp their color rush uniforms are. Your Denver Broncos, 26th worst uniform in the NFL. Sorry, Todd.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's insane.
sorry. All right.
It's absolutely correct because when the Broncos do that color rush and they go back to the dark blue on a Thursday night, they look fantastic.
All right, here's your top 5. New Orleans Saints. Now, the old gold that they went back to is pretty. I love the white with the gold. The old gold, I think that is as sharp as any uniform in football. Number 4 on the list is going to be a shocker. Shocker. I can't even give the description they have in USA Today because it'd give it away. Anybody want to guess? Number 4 on the list, best uniforms in the NFL. Seton O'Connor.
The Steelers?
No. No, Steelers got an awesome uniform.
Yeah.
Although they only had the logo on one side of the helmet.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, but I never understood that. Why they only did on one side. Like was it budgetary reasons or something? But they only have it on one side. Like, the Cowboys don't have a star on just one side. Green Bay doesn't have the G, or the Bears don't have a C on one side. Yeah, Paul.
Are the Packers number 4? I think Packers are top 5 easy.
Packers are not in the top 5.
That's blasphemous.
Your Seattle Seahawks are the 4th best uniform.
Wow.
And I'm like, which uniform?
Who wrote this, Skip Bayless?
The college navy and action green reflect the Emerald City, and as does the logo, a callback to a mask designed by Indiana native to the Pacific Northwest. All right. Number 3, your Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 2 on the list, I have no problem with this, your Los Angeles Chargers. The best uniform in all of football, your Vegas Raiders. Yeah. According to USA Today, it doesn't get better than the silver and black, who feature an awesome color scheme, fantastic logo, overall clean look since its inception in 1964.
That guy's a good writer. That USA Today, I like the USA Today. Not a lot of words, short articles. Like them.
Wait, is that your John Gruden?
Yeah, like the USA Todays.
Oh, okay. Them USA Todaysers, they know what they're talking about.
Journalism.
Here. Yes. Paul in Ohio joins us. Hi, Paul. What do you have for me today?
Yeah, Dan, 5 foot nut and 130.
Right.
Okay, I've been watching the Rams since the early '60s, and you can't change the helmet, but the logo, I can deal with the logo. I mean, that's for the kids, nada. Also, I want to revisit the shower of shame I turned down on Friday. I'll take the Rams to win the West.
Okay.
If that would be cool with you guys.
Yeah.
Also, I had a suggestion for your T-shirts. Since you've got Tampa Bay, what about sitting with our guy? What do you think?
Oh no, that no. We'll leave it to Fritzy to come up with the bad, puns here.
Ooh, that was tough.
Yeah, sorry, Paul, but thank you. Yeah, no, I can't go with that one. If Cam Newton goes to New England, then I think we have something, right, Fritzy?
We absolutely do. We have the
Thank you,
NE
Todd.
from Newton.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah. Thank you.
Are we on the air right now?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
6 minutes.
Yeah.
I clicked something and it took me to Microsoft Word by accident. That's what the delay was. There.
Stay with me here. All right. Stay with me.
I was trying to click my mic button, and I clicked the icon next to it, and all of a sudden Microsoft Word came up. But the NE from Newton would be good for the Patriots.
Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
All right. Yesterday, we had a brief period of NFL excitement as the rumor came out on Sports Talk Radio that the Browns may be contemplating trading Odell Beckham Jr. III to the Vikings. Well, it didn't take long for NFL reporters to say, nah, I don't think that's true. But hey, Sports Talk Radio, social media, we needed something. Talking heads, it was just a rumor. I'm hearing. That's where it's dangerous. You hear things, but you want to be able to report things that are accurate. And I'm not giving a tutorial here. It's just when people say, hey, I'm hearing, they think it's fact. And I checked a source and I said, are the Vikings interested in Odell Beckham? And at first, my source said, well, they got to get a number one receiver. And I go, okay, Adam Thielen's not your number one receiver. You lose to the Bills. And I go, it just seems strange that the Vikings would want to bring in Odell Beckham after getting rid of Stephon Diggs. And then my source came back this morning and said they're going to look at drafting a wide receiver, that they're not going to trade for Odell Beckham. Now, that doesn't mean that, there wasn't some validity to this, but when you're hearing, that could be, hey, you guys interested in Odell Beckham? I don't know. Let me check back. And then it could be, nope, we're not. Well, you were hearing that they were talking about it, but there was no. Now, I know people attach draft picks to this, and look, maybe it's true. I'm just going by my source. And there was a second and a fifth round attached to Odell Beckham. But if I'm Minnesota and I know Mike Zimmer, you're not going to do this. You're not bringing in Odell Beckham after just getting rid of Stephon Diggs. Kirk Cousins needs some calmness there. All right. But I'm hearing that. So with no games to talk about, we dissect every personnel move like it's groundbreaking. The Bears trade for Nick Foles. My God, that's an hour. Dak Prescott has a dinner party. We could spend a whole show on that. The possibility of trades. What's going to happen? Joe Burrow, is he going to the Bengals? Is Tua going 3 or 23? Everything is on steroids right now. It's like it's so important. There's no basketball games to distract us right now. There's no baseball games to distract us. So it's, hey, do you think the Lions would take Tua? I don't know. I'm hearing. I still go back to the following. The second most important player on the field, in my opinion, obviously the first is quarterback. The second is your edge rusher. Every team needs to have one because this is a pass-happy league. Von Miller won a Super Bowl for the Broncos, okay? You have to have, the Chiefs needed defense to win the Super Bowl. You have to have an edge rusher, or it's probably wise to have an edge rusher. San Francisco, because their defense, Bosa could have been the MVP of the Super Bowl. If San Francisco wins, maybe the edge rusher, a rookie, is the MVP of the Super Bowl. The importance of having that ability to put pressure on your quarterback. So if Chase Young is a once-in-a-generation player, which would be hard for him to be once-in-a-generation player if we just had Bosa, who could have been the MVP in the Super Bowl. But I haven't heard one team, one even I'm hearing, willing to go up and get Chase Young. Is he untouchable from the Redskins' perspective? Because if I'm the Redskins, I wouldn't make him untouchable if somebody wants to give me a couple of first-round picks. We give up those first-round picks. When's the last time that we did something like this in a draft where we went up to draft a defensive player or an offensive player who's not a running back or a quarterback? It seems rare. But, defense is it. You eventually, and I know I say this, I'm a broken record, at some point in the season, you will need a defensive stop to help you win a big game. You will need that. You may not be a defensive-minded team, but you will need players who make players, right? But you look at what Chris Jones of the Chiefs did in the Super Bowl. You have to have that. The last drive, you have to have that. So Chase Young is considered the best prospect in the draft, right? Nobody's arguing that. Best player in the draft. He's a given. but nobody's going up to get him, which I'm shocked at. I really am. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network analyst, was on Doug Gottlieb's show yesterday, and he talked about the Redskins and Chase Young.
I can't see the Redskins passing on Chase Young. Can you?
No, I've heard all the chatter about potentially wanting to get out of there and all that. You don't trade off of an opportunity to get a premier edge rusher. You don't. It's the second most important position in the game. He's right there in your lap. Don't screw it up. I don't see them making another decision there.
Okay, but why is it Joe Burrow is worth 4 number 1 picks? Or why don't you go up and get Joe Burrow? Or you trade up for Jared Goff, or you trade up for Mitchell Trubisky. I get you're trading up for a quarterback, but you're still waiting on, is Jared Goff a franchise quarterback? You're still waiting on Mitchell Trubisky. Chase Young comes in day one and is impactful for your team. I'm just surprised because I haven't heard one whisper. The Redskins may want to get out of there. Nobody's willing to go up there and pay the price. But I think everybody agrees Chase Young is the best player in the draft, or at least he's the one sure thing. Whether that's true or not, and I think if you look at Ohio State players, for the most part, they live up to the hype. Alabama players don't necessarily live up to the hype. And as a source said to me yesterday, Nick puts them through hard practices. You stay there for 3 or 4 years, you have added a lot of mileage on your body there. And you see some Alabama players who aren't great when they get to the NFL. But Ohio State players, for the most part, and you start to look at, you could have the second and third pick, both from that Ohio State defense. So the edge rusher, and you start to think, how'd they lose? Like you've got the best cornerback, who's going to start right away probably for the Detroit Lions, and Chase Young, who starts right away for the Washington Redskins. And you had a great quarterback. Like you had a lot of things, and didn't win the national championship. Yes, McLovin.
Didn't Clemson have like 5 of those guys too, though? That's what, as I recall.
Yeah, but Chase Young he's the best player in the draft. Jeff Okudah is the best defensive back who's going to go third, perhaps.
I was wondering, Dan, can you avoid a defensive end? Like, remember how we talked about teams avoided J.J. Watt at his peak sometime? Like, you sort of work around him a little bit.
Well, the only way you avoided him is when he got hurt. And what happens is, this is going to sound strange, but you avoid somebody by going at them. Alan Page was one of the great defensive linemen with the Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters. His pursuit was so great that you ran at him. And I think with Chase Young, do you go at him to then somehow avoid him because he's going to be able to track you down? The same with Bosa. But with an edge rusher, you can try to go away from him, but they're going to track you down. You almost have to go at the person you're trying to avoid, which sounds counterintuitive. But I don't know. Maybe Dan Orlovsky, whose star is on the rise of the mothership, will join us coming up. Get his thoughts. Why is nobody talking about trading up for Chase Young? And is Tua really falling? Is it that much of a free fall here? And we talked about the Justin Herbert rumors, and the Justin Herbert rumors were true. Miami is interested in Justin Herbert. This isn't a smokescreen. Miami is truly interested in Justin Herbert. Yeah, Paul.
We always say don't believe what you hear at draft time.
Yes.
And if the conventional rumors the past 3 or 4 days is Tua is falling in the draft, who would be floating that and who would it help? I've been thinking about this. I'm not sure the answer. So who would float that rumor out there, and the goal would be what? Like, would Miami float that out there so they don't have to trade up to get him?
Could be.
Because that would be the type of thing you'd float to a bunch of media people and hope that it benefits me. How?
But I never listen to a team official because I get nervous when somebody tells me, what they really feel. But most people do listen. It's just I've learned that their job is not to tell me the truth. It doesn't make any sense. You don't get extra credit for being honest with the media. We'll take a break. Dan Orlovsky will join us. By the way, Boomer Esiason, Boomer likened Joe Burrow to the Bengals like LeBron to the Cavaliers. So we'll talk to Boomer coming up. And the golfer Bubba Watson will stop by coming up top of the hour. We're back after this on the Dan Patrick Show. You check your email. You check that all the time, your Instagram, Twitter, all of that. But check something important. something important like your credit. Discover makes it quick and easy, and best of all, it's free. Discover's now offering FICO credit scores, and that's a score used by 90% of top lenders, and it's for free, even if you're not a customer. Checking your score won't hurt your credit, and you can check each month for changes. The Discover Credit Scorecard, free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. Great sports calls. Paulie got you some of them. Great ones in history.
Yes.
Right. Seeing a little crowd noise here for Ron. Which one are you going to do first?
Let me see here. Oh, really? That one? Okay. How about Jack Buck?
All right.
Calling Cook Gibson's home run.
Okay, Gibby against Dennis Eckersley, home run at Dodger Stadium. All right, you ready?
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
You have a big 3-2 pitch coming here from Eckersley. We're waiting on the pitch. Oh, Eckersley steps off the mound. Looks to his wife, Donna, and blows her a kiss. Is whispering something to Donna. Something, pull the car. Something, pull the car around the back after the game. I'm going to strike this sucker out. That's what, apparently that's what he's saying. And here comes the pitch. Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right. This is going to be a home run. I just know it because I can see into the future. Unbelievable. A home run for Gibson. And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw. Eckersley wives might as well not pull the car around the back because...
Well, that's not how it went.
I was embellishing slightly.
All right, what do you, stick to the script here.
Okay.
All right, what else do you have?
Here we go. Doug Flutie, Hail Mary against Miami.
Okay.
And this was Dan Davis calling the final play.
Dan the Duke Davis. All right.
Dan the Duke Davis.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Here's your ball game, folks, as Flutie takes the snap. He drops straight back, has some time, now scrambles away from one hit, looks, uncorks a deep one to the end zone. Phelan is down there. Oh, he got it! Did he get it? He got it! Touchdown! 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 Touchdown, Boston College! He did it! He did it! Flutie did it! He got Phelan in the end zone! Touchdown! Oh, my goodness! What a play! Flutie to Gerard Phelan. 48 yards, no time on the clock. It's all over. And if I have to put money on who's going to be more successful in their career, it's Gerard Phelan. This Flutie guy is lucky that he had the ability to catch that lame duck pass of his. It's going to be Gerard Phelan all the way. Put him in the Hall of Fame. Flutie, I don't know who this kid is, but Gerard Phelan, oh my God, he's gorgeous looking. Absolutely gorgeous. That was the call. That was the call, and you can call Davis up.
That was verbatim.
That's verbatim.
Damn. Okay.
You guys typed it up. You guys typed it up.
Give me one more.
Al Michaels.
Is this a Miracle on Ice?
This is a Miracle on Ice.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it the wrong way. Sorry. I really want to be true to the way Al Michaels did that historic call.
Okay.
11 seconds. You got 10 seconds. Countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Silk. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes.
He didn't do it that way.
Oh, he was very composed. Yes.
No. He was, do you believe in miracles?
No,
yes!
no. He whispered it almost.
I remember him. It seemed, maybe I was really young, and it sounded like he was excited.
I think we like to remember things differently. But no, he almost turned off his microphone, I remember.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I appreciate you doing that.
There's a roller up along first, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight. And the Mets win it. That was who?
That was Ben Scully.
Yes. You were going to say Joe Garagiola.
I was.
Yeah.
You had me.
Yep.
Yeah. You
takes you back.
You partied with Vin Scully before?
You mean Mad Dog?
Mad Dog Scully?
Yeah. You talking about Mad Dog?
I didn't know that was his nickname.
Oh, yes. There was a period of time where after every homestand, Mad Dog and I would go down to Tijuana. And we'd leave on a Friday. We'd come back on a Monday. And that long car ride home, we would not talk about what just happened.
We'll talk to Dan Orlovsky from the Mothership, ESPN football analyst, former NFL quarterback. He'll join us coming up here in a moment. Got a scoreboard issue. Every day, Fritzy puts up numbers on the scoreboard, home and away. And I came in today, and I thought I saw 4 and 16. Those are the numbers. And then without approval, Fritzy changed it to 70 and 99.
There was an error as far as 416 versus 70 and 99 between myself and the Mario master of the
Who's at fault,
shot.
Todd? Who's at fault?
I'll take it, I guess, whether that's accurate or not. Why would I put 416 up? Today's April 16th. Why would that?
I don't know, Todd. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, but it's your scoreboard. It's your
It is
contest.
my scoreboard.
Okay, but poor Mario, who's a loser at everything, shouldn't be blamed on for everything that happened.
He shouldn't be blamed for everything.
Right? You're one of his superiors.
I should just take the heat for that.
Yes, you do it. Try it.
Even though I have no explanation at all for why I would have 416 as the score.
Okay, so 70 and 99, and the first person to guess it wins a prize. They get some DP Show T-shirts. So we'll have that for you. 70 and 99.
Yeah.
Okay. Any hints there?
Historic is the word I'll use for a hint.
Historic.
Historic. That's all you get.
Okay. All right. Historic. First person to guess it gets some DP Show gear. And by the way, we have, you know what just came in, Seton? Beer Here T-shirts.
Oh,
yes.
sweet.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, we have that. We'll unveil those coming up next live look in here. We got a box of Beer Here T-shirts here.
Love it.
For a good cause. You can go to danpatrick.com for the DP Show store. We'll got an update on the poll question there, McLovin.
Yeah, do you like old school or new school uniforms? As you'd expect, 64% say old school. A little closer than I thought.
Yeah, but our target audience, though, is going to be different than the audience that the people trying to sell these uniforms to would be.
What about when you were 18 and looking at colleges and stuff like that? Did you care?
No. I grew up when I was really young with the Browns uniforms. We were pretty simple. And then I went to Cincinnati, moved outside of Cincinnati. I had the Bengals uniforms. Those were horrible looking uniforms. Horrible. Boring. Absolutely. The Chargers came to town. I snuck into the game at Nippert Stadium, and I saw the Chargers take the field, and it changed my life. I went, oh, my God, look at those uniforms. It was as if I had watched sports in black and white, and all of a sudden I had color TV. And I had John Hadel, who had number 21 as the quarterback. I go, who's got 21 as a quarterback number? They had Dickie Post, Gary Garrison, Lance Allworth. Oh, my God, those uniforms were spectacular. Yeah, Paul.
Dan, I'm looking back, though, at a picture of the Bengals from the 70s. They have an orange helmet, white jerseys, dark brown numbers, 3 stripes, and a simple Bengals on there. For some reason now it looks old school and cool in compared to their tiger stripes.
It was just boring. That's all. Like the Cowboys look great. You can have a clean looking uniform, but it can be boring as well. The Packers were great. The Steelers were great. The Niners look great. It is amazing, though. If you win, your uniform somehow looks a whole lot better. Dan Orlovsky, star is on the rise at the Mothership, ESPN football analyst, former NFL quarterback. And you can check him out on Get Up with Mike Greenberg, Sports Center, NFL Live, and other programs. Best uniform you played in was what, Dan?
Ooh, played in. Definitely the creamsicle Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got to wear them once, and these were like the old school material too. So the comfort of them was atrocious, but the feel of, or like the look of them was awesome. Now this is when we stunk, so we probably got dragged by whoever we played. But the best one I played in is the Tampa Bay Buccaneer creamsicle or the Lions Thanksgiving Day throwbacks, when it's just all blue jersey, all gray numbers, gray pants, and an all blue helmet. Those were the cleanest that I've worn myself.
All right, Dan, that's all we wanted from you. Thank you. We appreciate your time.
My best segment of the year.
Yeah, I was just talking about this, that the second most important position on the field is an edge rusher, in my opinion. So you have the quarterback and you have the edge rusher. I don't know if you agree or not, but I'll let you give me your opinion on that in a moment. Why is it nobody wants to trade up to get Chase Young? If he is a generational, once in a decade kind of pass rusher and the best player in the draft, I haven't heard one trade scenario to go up and get him. Why?
Yeah, I'd say number one, there are some people, and I've had conversations with guys about this, that do believe he went ghost the last 3 games of the year, that he was minimized and shut down, and especially in the Clemson game, people point to that. I disagree with that point. I actually thought the teams that played them down the stretch were conscious of him and getting the ball out of their hands way quicker than normal. I think there's the reality that I don't think there's any chance Washington trades the pick. I just don't. I mean, Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio there. Washington's defensive line is going to be a major problem, because just as a quarterback makes everybody better, a dominant defensive lineman makes all those other defensive linemen better. And so now Montez Sweat is going to be better, and Payne's going to be better, and Jonathan Allen's going to be better because of the addition of Chase Young. So I don't think Washington would be willing to move from that pick. I would disagree with you on the edge rusher being more important than the interior rusher. 2 reasons. One, the usage of the field, the spread of the field. Coaches are much more aware that the football field is actually 53 1/3 yards wide, and much more willing to use all of that space. And so now I always try to express it like this. Like, think of an offensive line, and traditionally over the last 30 years of the NFL, the offensive line is tackle to tackle for the most part. And that's probably a 6 or 7 yard wide space. And once the ball has traditionally been snapped, because we weren't using space as much, the field wide, with the offensive line is like an accordion that gets shrunk. And so those pass rushers get closer and closer to the quarterback that are taking these 5 and 7 step drops and sitting in the pocket. Well, now coaches expand the offensive line more at the ball being snapped, whether it's the use of lateral play action, which is much more part of the NFL now than it used to be. The quick passing game and the screen game, the lateral run game is much more used than the downhill run game. And then the second thing is how quickly the ball gets out of quarterback's hands. I mean, we see the ball get out of quarterback's hands with the RPO game way faster than it used to be. When was the last time you saw a quarterback go under center and take a 7-step drop? Just traditional drop back, not a play action game. It's not part of the game as much anymore. And so the interior pass rusher, as close to the quarterback as possible person, is more valuable for me and in my experience than the edge rusher.
Yeah, I get that, because that's why Aaron Donald is so valuable. He's disruptive in the middle, plus to get to the quarterback, he can get there quicker than the edge rusher can. And if you're taking less than 2.5 seconds, get rid of the football. Closest distance between 2 dots here goes straight right at him. So I understand that. If you look at these drafts, and I've said this, it seems like every year I say the same thing. We build up a quarterback and then we tear him down as we get closer to the draft. So it's a roller coaster ride for these guys. Hey, this guy's unbelievable in March. Then all of a sudden in April, the guy's not a top 10 pick. So we didn't do it with Burrow. We did it. We're still doing it with Tua. Herbert, he's sort of on the rise now. Jordan Love got some attention there, but how do you sort this all out and understand what teams are thinking about these players?
Yeah, I don't really believe in ranking the quarterbacks like 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6. I look at them like, okay, what guys are in the best position trait-wise or skill set-wise to be bona fide stars, like to be guys that you can just count on for the next 15 years to be rock stars, no matter really who their coach is or who's around them skill set wise. These guys are going to be great players. And it's Burrow and Tua. Those are the 2 players quarterback wise in this draft. Like Joe Burrow, if you looked at the greats in the NFL over the last 20 years at that position, and you just kind of took away the first thing that pops in your head when you think about that player, Joe Burrow has it. Like, okay, Tom Brady, poise or clutchness, when Joe Burrow's got that. Drew Brees, accuracy, when Joe Burrow has that. Ben Roethlisberger, pocket movement. Joe Burrow's ridiculous at it. If you look at Russell Wilson, his instincts, Joe Burrow has all that stuff. These are things that, like, so many people overlook because they're really difficult to measure unless you've, really trained your eyes to see it. Joe Burrow's got all of that, like all of it. Tua is very similar in that regard. Like, Tua's accuracy is the greatest attribute that he has. It's also the most important attribute physically a quarterback can have. And so his ability to get through progressions, I call it the most programmed quarterback in the draft, not robotic, but programmed. So those two guys are rock stars. They're going to be studs if healthy for Tua, obviously. Herbert, to me, is like, my analogy has been like, when you go house shopping and you see this house, it's a beautiful home and it's got all the upgrades and it should sell really well, but it just sits on the market because every time you see the house, you go, man, something's wrong with that. It just doesn't feel right. And I kind of sent this tweet out the other day. Think of all the quarterbacks that we've talked about in the draft in the last 15, 20 years, that when the first 2 or 3 things out of people's mouth are, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he's got a powerful arm. Like, think of all those guys, and more often than not, those cats have failed. And I didn't say anything about that when it came to Brady, Russell Wilson, Breeze, Big Ben. I didn't say anything about that because that stuff doesn't matter. We look at quarterbacks the same way we look at all the other positions: big, strong, athletic, powerful. It should be the other way, the mental. And so that's what concerns me about Justin Herbert, is like, no one's going, man, he's got great instincts, or gosh, his accuracy is ridiculous, or he's just got this ability to make all these different kinds of throws. Those are all the things that people talk about, or like that I talk about, that he struggles with. And I just go, man, I would have a lot of concern about that because it's the most important physical attributes of the quarterback position. And then for Jordan Love, Jordan Love is the most intriguing probably guy because he does more stuff that you can't coach, more wow stuff. You go, man, I just can't coach that throw. I can't coach that throw. I kind of related to this. Patrick Mahomes, who he has been compared to, I don't see that, but Patrick Mahomes has this recess style of football where, like, he's the best kid on the playground and it's under control and he's just toying with people. And Jordan Love has a reckless style of football where it looks somewhat similar, but goodness, it's reckless. Yeah. And so, listen, if you can coach him up to be more recessed than reckless, then, yeah, you might have something to work with. But I'm not taking him until later in the first round.
I'm going to go with your analogy here with Justin Herbert. There's a house and there's a home. He might be a house as a quarterback where Joe Burrow or Tua could be a home. And there's a big difference in that. It looks great, but is it going to be a home? If the team, if you pass on Tua to take Justin Herbert, finish that sentence.
You're scared to be great. You're okay with trying to be mediocre.
But is it the fear of taking him or the fear of not taking him? Which one do you think is stronger in this draft with Tua?
The fear of taking him. And I said that in January. It's going to take courage to take Tua. Let's be honest. It's going to take courage to pass on Tua because this is the same guy that, and Kirk Herbstreit's great, right? Kirk Herbstreit is outstanding at what he does. And I think he's got a great feel and understanding of that spot, that position, college football. It's the same person, the same player that came into the national championship game, and Kirk Herbstreit on the broadcast said, Alabama's going to be okay. This kid is ridiculous. It's the same coach in Nick Saban, who we all say is one of the greatest coaches of all time, who decided to go to that player in that moment. And so if a team decides to draft Justin Herbert, it's just they are so scared that Tua is going to become hurt that they're willing to to chase mediocrity than greatness. They'd rather play it safe. And it's funny, I was just watching First Take, and Michael Jordan was talking about the Last Dance thing, and he was talking about in his first year he had an injury, and the doctors told him there's a 90% chance you won't get hurt, and there's a 10% chance that you'll get hurt and you'll end your career. And Jordan looked at him like, but I'm trying to be great. There's a 90% chance. There's a 90% chance that if you draft Tua Tagovailoa, you're going to become great as an organization. He's that stinking good. But if you want to bet on the 10% because you're scared, then that's on you.
And later that year in the playoffs, Jordan put 63 on the Celtics in the Garden.
Yeah, I just like, listen, and I brought this up. Okay, so look at the past, 10 years in the NFL. Okay, Saints, you don't get great in the NFL without taking risks. The Saints went onside kick in the Super Bowl 10, 11 years ago. In the Super Bowl at halftime. The Eagles a couple years ago, as the number 1 seed, decided to go into the playoffs with a backup quarterback and ran a trick play on 4th and goal. The Chiefs traded up to get a quarterback from Texas Tech when they didn't need to. They had a veteran and were a playoff football team. The Ravens took a quarterback in Lamar Jackson that couldn't fit into the NFL. If you want to become a great championship caliber organization and you want to become great, you've got to take risks. You've got to take risks. And I just look at Tua and go, the quarterbacks are getting way more protected in the NFL than they are in college football, way more protected. And I think he has the brain to mature enough to realize I don't have to prove my toughness every single play. Get the ball out, and there's other plays to play, and I would take them.
Good stuff. Hey, it's great to talk to you. I'm happy for your success. You've done well, and you put in the work. And, maybe in a couple of months you come here to the Man Cave, and we'll teach you how to throw a football.
Well, listen, man, it's an absolute honor. I obviously grew up on you, so it's a privilege. I'm glad to be with you finally. I would love to come to the Man Cave. I can use all the help I can get.
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate your time. Tell Greeny we said hello.
I will, bud. Be well.
That's Dan Orlovsky. He went to UConn, drafted by the Lions. And, there's that – it's not a highlight, but it is a highlight that's a low light for Dan, where he went out of the end zone and, it was a self-imposed safety. So he doesn't know that he's backing up to throw a pass from his end zone. He goes out of the end zone. And doesn't he have his charity or something? Or didn't he say something like he's all in favor of moving the end zone to 11 yards, Paulie?
Dan Orlovsky's Twitter profile that he wrote, that's up on his Twitter: retired 12-year NFL vet, married to a cool chick, dad to triplet boys. End zone should be 11 yards. That's a good line.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got a stat of the day. We'll update the poll results. Top of the hour, Bubba Watson will join us, and Boomer Esiason from CBS. So all of that coming up the next hour or so.
Battle, the wounds will be sewn. Foxborough fracas with a visit from Dalton. When Green's running rounds, just so much you can do. And if you stop AJ, Andy throws to Sanu. Better put down your muskets and prepare to hit hard. That explosion up the middle, it's Giovanni Bernard. The hometown defense, they best not tempt fate, or the Red Rifles gunning for the end zone with Tate. But then there's the hoodie. Some say he's a genius. With those rings on his fingers, don't expect any lenience. Think you could beat Boston strong? And then you don't know diddly. They'll grind you up with Marine and with Ridley. Better bring it for Brady and not dream of Giselle, or he'll hook up with Elman and Brandon LaFell. And don't forget the tight end, a big target and threat. Expect a close shave tonight at Gillette. Party tonight. This war takes its toll. One needs a win in the playoffs, other one's back in the bowl. The New England spotlight, Bengals and Patriots share. Time for Sunday Night Football. NBC, you there? How you like me now?
Oh, I love how McLovin is pouting because we haven't focused on him, that Fritzy got hit in the face with a cake, and McLovin goes, I didn't know you were going to get that much airtime, or I would have done it.
Is there a smaller cake you can hit me with later?
Do you want to grab the cake that we have right there, Seton, and smash it in McLovin's face?
Bonus coverage.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what are you kidding?
Here we go. Go do it.
On second thought.
No, this is what you asked for. Here you go. McLovin is going to get the leftovers of our anniversary cake.
Dad, I got it right out the back.
Let's go, McLovin. Come on, grab him. Grab him.
Get him.
Grab him. That was a Matt Schaub ear hole.
Oh my goodness. I may have gotten 2 a days as well.
we're way past big speech time. I just want to thank you guys for the last couple of months. They've been special. Anybody have anything they want to say?
Yeah. Let's win this one for all the small schools that never had a chance to get here.
I want to win this one for my dad.
Guys, we win this one, I got one word for you. Cheerleaders.
These are the Beer Here t-shirts with all the proceeds from this t-shirt are going to help the stadium workers. And Seton did a great job coming up with this idea. So we have different team colors. There's the Bears beer here. Green, Seattle. Got blue in here. Arizona Cardinal red, just a regular t-shirt. Here. I got Minnesota Vikings purple in here. I got the Colts. I guess it can be the Colts beer here, but these are all the proceeds going to help these stadium workers. So, good stuff there. Beer here. And I think I'll take all of these home. Those will be mine. Okay. Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. It's the all-new GT four-door coupe because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the DP Show app. You can watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, Mercedes-AMG driving performance. You know, this documentary on the Bulls has brought about the discussion of greatest basketball player of all time has resurfaced here. I'm not sure why, because it feels like you're firmly planted in what your opinion is of who you think is the greatest of all time. And what happens is when we're growing up, we're so attached to those memories, far more than we are when we get older. When you're 12 to 22, like that, your team is so important. The music you listen to is so important. My Cincinnati Reds, the Big Red Machine, is the best National League lineup ever, in my opinion. Zeppelin is the best rock and roll band of all time. Like, you have these opinions. It's hard to change my mind when it comes to that. You can say, hey, I got a National League team that would rival the Reds. All right. I don't believe you. Hey, I got a rock and roll band better than Led Zeppelin. Okay. Michael Jordan wasn't local for me. Michael Jordan was global when you think about it. And, you know, people watch Jordan. They were there. They understand the moment. And I don't know if anybody's going to say, hey, I'm so passionate about LeBron James. He's the greatest player of all time. Michael Jordan is Neil Armstrong. He's the first guy to walk on the moon. Now, there's 12 people, I think, total who've walked on the moon. But when you go to a party and Neil Armstrong would be there, that dude walked on the moon, the first guy. That's Michael Jordan. He was the first real global star. And he's almost become mythological when you think about it now. Michael Jordan has become Babe Ruth-like. LeBron can't compete with that. LeBron's one of the guys who's walked on the moon, but he might be the 12th guy, the 9th guy, the 8th guy. Imagine if you're there and you're having a conversation, Neil Armstrong's there, and you're one of the other guys, Buzz Aldrin, and you were second, but that's not, he was the first guy to walk on the moon. You can't win that argument. Mike is the first to do it, and he really gave the blueprint to all these other athletes. And Muhammad Ali wasn't with a team. He was global, but he was an individual. But Mike became global because of, Air Jordan. Ali was global because he would fight around the world. And it was different. Mike was with the team, but also singular as a global spokesperson and a billionaire. It's just different. I think when LeBron is all said and done, we'll have an argument, at least a good discussion here. Because people ask me all the time, hey, you were there when Jordan won all those titles. Michael Jordan, if I'm going to win a game, is the guy I want out there. We do this argument with a quarterback. Who's the quarterback you want to win a game? Who's the guy you want at the plate with the game on the line? Who's the pitcher you want on the... Well, Michael Jordan is that. And I can't argue with anybody else in that situation. Game on the line, one game to win. Michael Jordan is the guy that I want leading my team. Do I think LeBron is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan? I do. If you look at what he's done, the totality of his career, the style, what he does at his size, there's no one like him. There's no one like him in the history of the game. Magic was his size, but was not anywhere near the athlete that LeBron is. LeBron can score, he can rebound, he can pass. He's not the defender Mike was, but if I wanted to win a game, I'm taking Michael Jordan. I just am. I saw it with my own eyes, and until somebody proved different, he was the guy. As much as I loved Bird and loved Magic, and I kept thinking, this Jordan guy thinks he's as good as these guys. And then when Mike put up 63 on the Celtics in the Garden, that's when Larry Bird said he realized there's a new sheriff in town. I realized I wasn't the best player in basketball. And that's from a guy who won 3 MVPs. He knew he was not. That's what Mike did. He came in, and it was this tsunami. And all of a sudden, you kind of came up for air, and you go, is it coming back again? And it was. I would take him, is he the greatest player of all time? Yes. Bill Russell won more, but that wasn't just Bill singularly. Michael, would go out and dominate games. He would dominate opponents. He would make you cry. But if we're even doing the all-time draft there, if I'm starting my team with anybody, I'd have a little bit of a debate between Kareem, but the game has changed now. What would Michael Jordan be like in today's game? Would he be a three-point shooting guy? Would he be as effective? Would Steph Curry be more valuable because he's a great three-point shooter? What would Bird be like today? Would Bird be better, because he could shoot the three? He could rebound, he could pass, he could do all those things. He wasn't the defender Jordan was. What would Magic be? Would he be shooting more three? Those are the questions you had that you can't answer, but they're fun. Bubba Watson will join us, and Boomer Esiason, final hour.
Record is
Well, I don't want
I want to be on the record
as saying you didn't.
I think this is a terrible idea. I just want to be on the record. I think this is a horrible idea. Yeah. It's going to hit some poor person in the head.
No, that's why somebody's down there. Okay, here, I'll help you up.
Yeah, so what angle do you want here?
Okay, there we go.
You underneath? Okay.
All right, here we go.
There's seating.
Yeah. All right.
We're going to practice one?
No, wait, I would not.
Uh-oh.
We need more people down here.
Get a little room.
Okay.
We need somebody underneath the
ball.
Yeah, the kid with hats on it.
Send out another guy to catch the balls.
Go ahead, Andy. Ryan.
Are we ready?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's a nice throw.
Where are the balls there, though?
This is a terrible idea. This is a horrible idea.
There it goes.
This has got to be.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry about
this. This has got to be against some ordinance here. Oh, no. Okay, here we go.
Come on, Ryan. Throw me one of those back. This one's
here we go.
This one's too loose.
Oh, boy. We need a good one.
Okay.
Tyler, run those over.
Yeah, that's a no good.
Oh my God! Just threw a football across traffic. What are you doing? Now it just went down into the subway.
All right, last
We are.
No, it just went down the subway.
All right.
Ryan Leaf is across the street trying to throw a football up this seat in a third-story window.
Oh, right there.
Seaton, did you drop it?
No, it was almost right there.
Yeah, Ryan trying to throw it to Seaton third-floor window here. Uh-oh.
Oh, my God, dude, it was so close.
People are stealing football.
Why? It always works for, like, Letterman when they do these things.
Yeah.
Ryan and Paulie and McLevin are here. How you feeling there? How's your shoulder after that?
I had it.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just needed a couple. We had to. The wind tunnel from the buildings was a little difficult to judge at first, but that last one was right on. I knew how much I had to throw it up. I had to throw it to like the 5th story to know that it was going to get to the 3rd story.
Yeah, I was worried you're going to break a window or that somehow Seaton could be perilously close to dying.
Well, I knew that could be a problem, so I tried to hit the ledge just below the window.
Oh. Yes, McLevin.
Now, there were dogs. There was 5 dogs crossing. Has that ever happened in the NFL where you have to wait for the dogs to pass?
Well, Ray Lewis used to bark at me, so I don't know if that a bunch of crazed dogs, as Lawrence Taylor used to say.
Wait, did Ray Lewis bark at you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like how?
Like that?
Probably more intimidating.
Sometimes I would just look at guys across the line from me going,
like,
why do I have to be so much more focused than they do? This sucks. I want to play defense.
Ray Lewis barking at you.
Yeah. Or Donnie Edwards just getting in my head in Kansas City. That was, yeah, he tended to do that. As soon as you said something back to him, that just got him warmed up even more.
Yeah, McLevin.
By the way, I had to run in the middle of the street and retrieve a ball, and I had no idea if cars were coming. It was like, you know how when you see a guy going for a fumble, and you're like, oh, it's easy. Why does he just grab it? That football was so squirrely.
He always puts himself in harm's way when I'm around.
McLevin?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Ryan, thank you for stopping by, being a good sport here. Final hour coming up. Get to more of your phone calls. Poll question today. Larry Bird's 60th birthday. Would you rather have Bird's career or Derek Jeter's career? This is the Dan Patrick Show. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Patrick. Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show, a 5-part weekly series.
He's Richard Roper, Chicago Sun-Times columnist, movie critic. He was given the early access to The Last Dance, the docuseries about the 1990 Bulls. Is there one of those oh my gosh moments in this documentary?
Favorite moments for me for the documentary is when the filmmakers, they'll hand Jordan a tablet. They play him, Isaiah Thomas, trying to rationalize why the Pistons didn't shake hands with the Bulls.
We thought that we deserved a little bit of respect as a champion. Everyone and every team could play and act like the Pistons and adopt our philosophy except the Pistons.
And Jordan looks at it and then in kind of an expletive-laden way calls Isaiah.
From the Mercedes Man Caves and Dan at Homes, this is Dan Patrick.
Final hour in this Thursday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Michael Jordan. It's like Michael Jordan is coming back. It's his week. It's his documentary. Even though it's based on the Bulls and that last year, The Last Dance. But now all of a sudden, Michael shows up on Good Morning America. I think he's trying to smooth down those rough edges of his personality that came out in the documentary. He was a different cat back then. He was tough. He was tough on his teammates. But as he said, hey, I was only asking them what I would be asking myself. I didn't ask them to do anything that I wouldn't ask myself. So you're starting to see Mike, I think, not get nervous, but it feels like he wants to let people know, hey, I'm a decent guy here. He was on with Robin Roberts earlier this morning on Good Morning America, and he told a story about when the GM of the Bulls told Phil Jackson wasn't coming back after that season, no matter what he did.
The beginning of the season, it basically started when Jerry Krause told Phil that, he can go 82-0 and he would never get the chance to come back. And, knowing that I married myself to him, obviously, and if he wasn't going to be a coach, then, obviously I wasn't going to play. So Phil started off the year by saying this is the last dance, and we played it that way. So mentally it just it tugged at you throughout the course of the year, but that this had to come to an end. But it also centered our focus to making sure we end it right.
Part 1 will be this Sunday on ESPN. Do you know how old Jordan was that year, The Last Dance, when he hit the shot against the Utah Jazz? He was 34. You could have gotten at least 2 more seasons out of him, and I just think egos played a large role in this. Everybody getting credit except for the GM, Jerry Krause, and, Phil getting credit and Michael getting credit. And, all of a sudden it's, hey, I'm going to dismantle this and we'll build another one. And they haven't recovered in Chicago. 877-3DP Show, email address dp@danpatrick.com, Twitter handle at DP Show. You can watch on the youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. Old habits die hard.
There you go.
I saw this story with Bubba Watson, a 2-time Masters champ, and Fanatics.com launched a digital fundraising movement. It's called the All In Challenge, and you've got athletes who are donating, things that they've won or experiences that you can take part in, and Bubba is teaming up with a good friend of the show here, Denny Hamlin, and I'll have him talk about it. But we make way for Bubba Watson, the great golfer. Did you ever play golf with Michael Jordan?
Have I? No, I've never played with Michael Jordan. I've hung out with him a couple times, but never hit any balls with him.
I wonder how that would be because he openly trash talks. And I don't know if you've gotten into those, matches where you're with non-golfers who talk trash.
Listen, there's one thing I'm good at, and I'm good at talking trash. I might not be very good at golf, but I'm really good at talking trash. I can out-talk you. I can tell you that much.
But do you do that with Tiger?
Anybody. Yes. And there's certain guys, even on tour, in tournament competition, because we're having fun, right? I mean, it's an entertainment business. And there's certain guys, there's a handful of guys where we can poke fun at each other while we're in a main event, right? And not just a practice round. And so, yeah, it gets fun. That's when it gets fun. When you see that guy, you're paired with that guy that you can joke around with and poke fun at. That's when it gets really fun.
If not you, then who's the king of trash talking on the golf course?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, Tiger's got 82 victories. He's really the king. But, I'd have to say Matt Kuchar he's good at it, and he does it like he's smiling at you. He's got everybody fake. That's a fake smile, by the way. I'll go ahead and tell you that. That's Matt Kuchar smile.
I can't imagine Matt Kuchar being mean-spirited.
See? He's got you fooled.
He does. He does because he's always got the smile. They're yelling, Cooch. But meanwhile, he's jabbing you a little bit.
Yeah, while he's smiling at you. And you're like, you get so mad at it.
Yeah. The reason why I was curious about Michael Jordan, because I was looking at the experience that you guys are offering, you and Denny Hamlin. So explain that to the audience what the experience is, the All-In Challenge, and then how they can take part in this.
Yeah, so Denny Hamlin, we're pretty good friends, and he's a little lefty golfer, and he came up with this idea, and I said, man, I'm all in, which is the name of the thing. But he said, I'm gonna let people come and play golf with me at Michael Jordan's course, because him and Michael Jordan lived in Charlotte together, and they're good friends. And so he said, we're gonna do it at the Michael Jordan course, Grove 23. And I said, man, I'll come down, I'll play. And I've given away one of my watches that I have in my collection, a Richard Mille 3901.
Wait, those are really expensive.
Yeah, this one's they're hard to come by, and this one's roughly, we'll just say roughly, somewhere around 150,000 for this watch. And so donated the round of golf. And then Denny's taken them on to who's done pretty well at Daytona. I think he's 3-time winner of Daytona. And he's going to take them there for an experience of a lifetime, hang out at the FedEx box, which is right there by him, and go meet his crew, meet him, get a fire suit that he wears in the car. And then I think he actually, if I remember correctly, he's going to take them for a hot lap, maybe drive them around in the car for a second. And yeah, I mean, this is an experience that you get to play golf with Denny and shoot the breeze with him, hear trash talk between me and him, and then get to play golf with me, and then get a cool watch out of it and a cool fire suit out of it. I actually have one of Denny's. Denny had me a fire suit made. I've never been in a race car, but I have a fire suit just in case, I guess.
Oh, well, you got to do a ride-along with Hamlin.
I don't trust it. Listen, you're talking about a car real fast. He told me he would hang me 2 inches from the wall. And I said, I'm out. So
he'll make you throw up, Bubba.
Oh, for sure. It's the same. I live in Pensacola, Florida, where the Blue Angels are, and they ask me all the time. And I said, no, I am not going up in the Blue Angels. So this All-In Challenge, I mean, the way it came about, Michael Rubin just had an idea, and we're talking about, his ultimate goal would be $100 million. And when you start seeing, like this morning, Drake got involved. I saw Ellen was involved yesterday. I mean, just all these people coming together trying to feed all walks of life in this pandemic. And so everybody's trying to do a good thing, and hopefully it turns out well. I saw we just went over, not we, but the whole organization went over $6.5 million, I think. So it's starting, I mean, only 3 days or 4 days in, it's starting on a good pace.
That's great.
It's been amazing so far, yeah.
So it's called the All-In Challenge. Is that the website, or you go to fanatics.com?
I think you can go to Fanatics, but there is a website, allinchallenge.com.
Okay.
And then that might transfer you over. But, yeah, so it shows all the different things. There's one, it's only $10, so you can buy a raffle ticket. I guess it's like a raffle ticket or your name in a hat for these ultimate things you can get, like get a co-host with Ellen. You can be in movies with Kevin Hart and
that's great.
Leonardo DiCaprio for only $10. And then you can buy an experience as well, on an auction part of it.
Well, you got 2 green jackets. You don't need 2, so why not throw in a green jacket, like a loaner?
Exactly. Hey, I'm trying to hang on to mine just so I can prove to everybody I did it.
Did you watch this past weekend when Tiger was there with Jim Nantz, and so he was looking back on when he won the Masters last year?
I did not see that.
Oh,
I was still
good.
crying from watching mine as well. So.
It was so good because, Tiger doesn't share too much. And to understand what he is thinking in the moment, it was really fascinating. Then the previous day, they did when Phil won the Masters in 2004, where he was the analyst there with Jim Nantz. So it was well done. Yeah, it was good stuff. Now, Phil loves to talk. Tiger usually doesn't love to talk. Is Tiger still blocking your text messages because you send stupid text messages to him?
Yeah, he ignores me a lot of times. I will say though, I'll give you one little tidbit.
Okay.
After he won the Masters last year in 19, he sent me. I came down from the champions locker and was right there when he got to the scoring area. There's a few of us golfers, right? 6, 7 of us golfers, and we went down there to say hey to him, and he said hey, and we talked, and then he had to go sign a scorecard, right? He sent me a text the next week, and I should have saved it now that I think about it, but he said that thank you so much. It means so much that you would wait around while when I won, and that's probably the nicest words I ever got from him. Normally, they're a lot meaner. But
they showed it on the broadcast. They showed it, all you guys there waiting for Tiger.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a cool moment. That you guys wanted to wait to congratulate him.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about. I mean, in our sport, I mean, that's the best ever. Who I've got to see. I didn't get to see Jack in his heyday, and so waiting around was no big deal. I ended up finishing 11th, so I was a couple groups in front of him. So no, it was easy to wait around and watch one of the greatest, and a person I call a friend. It was cool to get that text. I mean, it was nice that he would reach out, especially after winning. I'd still be celebrating. I'm still celebrating my 12 win. So.
You played Augusta in a month other than April.
Have I?
Yeah.
Yes, at University of Georgia, we usually play. We got to go once a year, so we played in February. I usually take a couple friends, usually somewhere between January to April. So I've rotated depending on where my time off is before the Masters. So I've played in a couple months earlier, that same year.
What's it going to be like in November?
Gosh, I think that they're so talented, and their crew, I think it's going to be unbelievable looking, just like it is normally. But I think that, obviously the leaves and the trees will look a little different, more of a winter fall feel. But I think it'll still be spectacular. I mean, Augusta will not let the beauty of that course go away, if that makes sense.
You got the PGA in June. What do you think I was wondering about social distancing, that like golf could pull this off. There's no gallery, and it's just you and your caddy, and then, you're in a twosome here. Or maybe you carry your own bag. I don't know, but it feels like golf could do this. Tennis could do this as well. What do you think about the PGA in June?
Yeah, I mean, this is all new to all of us, right? And the new schedule just came out, I would say an hour ago. Revised schedule. So the first event would start June 8th. In Texas, at Colonial.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is it's just something that we've never had to deal with as a society. So this is all new. But, golf could do it. You're right. I think carrying the bag, you could easily get more people away doing that. But then I'd have to add my own numbers, so I'd be lost. So that would be tough. But golf, you could do it. Tennis, you could do it. I could see that for sure. But golf, I'm in the trees a lot, and most of the guys are in the fairway, so I'm away anyway. So,
have you ever hit a shot where you go, "Oh my God," and I'm a professional golfer? Like the worst shot you ever hit?
Oh man, I've hit many of those. I mean, the most famous one is number 10 at Augusta in 2012. I mean, I'm trying to hit a 50-yard slice, and I hit a 15-yard draw. So I missed my target by a little bit there. It worked out in my favor, but anytime you fat it in the water, I fatted one in the water at Bay Hill, Arnold Palmer's course, on number 18, where it's been shot from the middle of the fairway and just fatted it. It went about 30 yards right in the middle of the water.
Does your caddy ever say anything to try to cheer you up, or just go, "Oh my God, that's so bad"?
Yeah, he'll lie and say, "Oh, I think that was an old divot. You were in an old divot." I said, yeah, it was.
Hey, it's a great thing that you and Denny are doing, and all these athletes and celebrities. It's fanatics.com and also the allinchallenge.com. A lot of great items on there. If you want to go to Michael Jordan's golf course and you want to play with Denny Hamlin and Bubba, and also Daytona 500 package there and everything that goes along with that. A lot of good stuff. It's great to catch up with you again, Bubba. Hope the family's well, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. All y'all stay safe, man.
That's Bubba Watson. He's also throwing in that watch. Now, he wears a couple of those watches that are $500,000. Now, it's so expensive, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's Richard Mille, I think, Mille, but those are... The watch he wears on the golf course, I think, is $500,000. And he came into the studio a couple of years ago, and he had one of those suckers on. And I went, that's really expensive there, Bubba. He goes, yeah, I got a couple of them. Yeah, Paul.
I was about to say that I don't think I'd be comfortable wearing one of those, but I don't think I'm going to have to worry about it. So, problem solved.
Well, I like how he says, well, no, this was like $150,000. Oh, okay, then I'm fine with that one.
Entry level.
Yeah. I'm okay.
That's the one he wears to like the grocery store and stuff. He's just like, this is just the.
When he's dressing down, he wears the $150,000 watch. Yeah, Paul.
I have my Timex, I think it's pronounced, watch. Timex?
Oh.
I've been wearing a Timex since I was a kid.
Oh, I got into collecting watches. It's dangerous.
You had a run there. 2011, 12?
No, I still got them. Panerais, Breitlings, Frank Mueller.
You and Larry Fitzgerald were talking watches at the Super Bowl.
Well, he gets them for free because I said, oh, wow, that is a great watch. He goes, yeah, you know watches? I go, yeah, I know that's expensive. And he goes, yeah, they give them to me. Like, they should give them to you. You're on TV 3 hours a day. And I go, I know. Why? I think he might have had a Panerai on, which is really expensive as well. Yeah, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. Yes, McLevin.
You know, you can get your time on your cell phone, too.
I know, but it makes a statement. It does, especially with the younger athletes when they check out what you're wearing. When you got that Audemars on and they go, oh, got an Audemars. I go, yeah, 2 of them, baby. Yeah, just sending a message there. Loud and clear. Yeah, McLevin.
Do you use it to interview people? To be honest, like, is it a good conversation starter when you have a Larry Fitzgerald? Because I do notice that sometimes you'll start talking watches to get a guy relaxed.
Well, no, that with Larry, I didn't have to get him relaxed. He's just a cool dude anyway. But if you see somebody who has a watch, even if I'm not trying to interview them, I would just say, John Mayer, the artist, huge watch collector, huge. I saw him in Los Angeles at a restaurant. And the first thing I said when I walked over to him is, oh, I'm surprised you got that watch on. And then, he looked up and he said, oh, hey, Dan, this is my friend. I don't know anything about sports, but he'll be able to talk your ear off. And I go, I want to ask you about your watches. He goes, oh, okay. So I'm asking him about his watches because he's got a huge collection of them. It's just a way to start a conversation sometimes, just to get to know people, McLovin.
Another interview question. I do notice, is the 2 minutes before an interview important to you as an interviewer? Because you seem to have something going on with the guy sitting next to you. Like, do you try and relax the guy? I know that's interviewing 101. I'm just curious.
Well, it depends. Are you talking about where I'm in person in the studio?
Yeah, in person. Do you try to set a tone before you do the interview?
Yeah, I don't want. There are times when you have somebody sitting down and they're really. When Kareem came in. And we were all in New York that day when Kareem came in, and I tried to make small talk, and I went, I don't know if this is going to go well. And the first couple of questions had to do with, I think, local playgrounds. And then I started talking about the Brooklyn Dodgers and Jackie Robinson and how much he loved baseball. And then we were off to the races. Then we were good. That was the big key there. Yeah, Paul.
I've always thought one of your strengths is not going with the obvious first question with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Tell me about playing with the Lakers, or tell me about being with John Wooden. What was your second best sport? And he says, oh, I love baseball. And they want to talk about something they're never asked before.
It's like musicians don't want to talk about music, Athletes don't want to talk about their sport. Like, actors don't want to talk about acting, and you got to kind of manipulate them a little bit. I think Boomer Esiason's calling in. Let me take a break here. We'll talk to Boomer. Boomer, he's all in on Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati and said it could be like LeBron when he was drafted by the Cavaliers. We'll talk to Boomer Esiason right after this in the Dan Patrick Show. I got a number here. Over, under, or no, you just hit closest to the number. You're eliminated, and you don't get hit in the face with our 5-year anniversary cake, okay? This is between 1 and 50, okay? I will write the number down, and I will actually show it. No, I'm not going to show it to anybody. Okay, there you go. Seton, I'll start with you.
24.
All right, Paulie?
I'm also going 24. That was my pick.
Well, no, you can't.
I can't?
No. Then you both get hit in the face with the cake.
49.
All right, 49. McLovin?
25.
25. Okay. Fritzy?
I'm going to go 5 for 5 years.
Okay. Paulie is removed from consideration. Oh. The number was 43.
That's so weak.
All right. Now I will come up with another number here. Okay. McLovin, I'll start with you since you tried to pimp Seton there by going 25.
12.
12 for McLovin. Seton?
21.
21. And Fritzy?
18.
18. McLovin, you said 12? Okay.
Are you changing the number right now?
No, I'm not. No.
Be good producing.
The number was 5. McLovin is removed.
Yes.
Damn. So this comes down to Fritzy and Seton. All right. You guys stand up. And McLovin and Paulie go over and get the cake. And I will have you at least back away from where you are with all the equipment. Whoever's going to get smashed, you got to come over and take your punishment. All right. Now I'm going to write down a number. Closest to the number does not get smashed in the face with the anniversary cake. All right. Okay. I got the number. It's written down. And I'm going to go Fritzy, starting with you.
22.
22.
Oh, Fritzy!
Seton?
23.
Oh.
The number is 34. Fritzy, come on out and get your punishment. Here's our anniversary cake. We did want to thank the Fox Sports people for a beautiful cake, and it's got
He beat me by 1 there.
Yeah. So
Where's the safe spot?
you guys got to help out here. Yeah, that's pretty heavy cake there. Yeah, Paulie, are you? Is there a problem over there?
So we should do this now.
Yeah.
Can we put his face into it to make sure he doesn't get injured?
I don't think he'll get injured.
I think you got to go overhand smash.
Yeah, I got to go smash in the face.
Yeah. You make the call, boss.
All right.
How hard is that
Yeah, you make the smash in the cake. No, it's not that. It hasn't been sitting that long. All right, here we go. Coming up,
All right, stand tall, Fritzy.
Mockhead.
This is heavy.
Okay, here we go. Fritzy, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, Fritzy.
Happy anniversary, Fritzy.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3. That's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
That's actually not bad.
Wow.
That's a heavy
Fritzy's
cake.
got this amazing crown of cake in his head right now.
I saw that. That looks good, Fritzy.
It's good cake.
Nobody says happy anniversary quite like we do.
Man, that was
There's a lot of good cake.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get to your phone calls. Fritzy has mock headlines. Know your Romo as well. Final 15 coming up, Dan Patrick Show.
An official DP show investigation is underway.
So we still can't find Corbin.
This time, it's a missing person.
He looks like every best friend in every sitcom of the 80s.
He once attended summer camp with Fritzy, where they engaged in a pantsless game of Nerf football.
How do you play Nerf football and your pants are down at your knees?
We all experiment.
Was Corbin playing?
Corbin was involved.
He was last seen wearing a skimpy green tank top chest to chest with Todd.
Nipple to nipple.
This person is at large and must be found.
Please find Corbin.
If you have any information about the missing person, call this number immediately.
Anybody out there, please.
Time is running out.
You still tell that story of playing Nerf football and your pants are down at your knees. We'll get to your phone calls coming up. I saw this comment by Boomer Esiason, former Cincinnati Bengal great. I also think he's got this single game passing record for two franchises. Might be the only quarterback to have this. Cincinnati Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals. I think Boomer has the single game passing yardage mark. And Boomer talked about Joe Burrow going to the Bengals and likened that to LeBron when LeBron was drafted by the Cavaliers. We make way for Boomer Esiason, NFL Today on CBS, and of course WFAN Morning Drive co-host. Boomer, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dan. Great to talk to you again. And, I was comparing the situations. I was not comparing the athletes, just to be clear.
Okay.
I guess some people out there are taking what I said about Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati like LeBron going to Cleveland as if it were the same thing in terms of the athletes. But when you think geographically that Joe Burrow is about 2 hours outside of Cincinnati in Cincinnati Bengal fan country, and LeBron was from Akron, about an hour outside of Cleveland, going to Cavalier country. I think the situations are very similar, and especially that both will be the number one overall pick of their respective drafts.
Yeah, I only had that comment, and I was with the other people who were critical of it to say, wait, he's not the same as LeBron going to the Cleveland Cavaliers, but in context, then I understand what you're saying. But I just saw the quote there, and I was like, all right, well, Boomer's all in on Joe Burrow there, really all in on Burrow. Do you have what's your biggest question mark about Joe?
Well, first of all, I've been all in on Joe Burrow since he won the Heisman and came and visited us on the NFL Today. I presented him with a Bengal helmet and welcomed him to our dysfunctional family. So that was way back then. The only concern that I really do have of him is that he did leave Ohio State. He didn't stay there and battle it out with Dwayne Haskins. And, personally, I don't know the situation that unfolded there. I don't know what Urban Meyer and Ryan Day were saying to each of the quarterbacks. So I understand in this day and age, these players tend to go to that transfer portal is the moment they feel like they're not going to get a chance to do that. Us from the old guard couldn't do that. We had to fight all the way through. So that was the only knock that I had on him. But the fact that he was a point guard and he led his team, to the state playoffs, he was the all-state point guard for Ohio, tells me that, he's a great facilitator, that he's a great leader, that he understands the game, how important his position is. And, I do think he has the personality that Cincinnati desperately needs as a quarterback. And that's why I think he's going to really be a success there. And I think he and Zach Taylor should mesh well together. And, look, the Bengals spent a lot of money in free agency this offseason to try to prove to him that they're an organization that's in to win. So hopefully that will be the case, and hopefully he's changing some minds out there.
Would you listen to a trade offer if you were the Bengals?
I wouldn't. I think it's corporate suicide if they don't draft him. I mean, like I said, he's from Athens, Ohio, so he's 2 hours outside of Cincinnati to the east. A lot of his buddies that he grew up with are all Bengal fans. I mean, this is like the perfect situation. That's why it's a lot like LeBron to the Cavaliers. Anytime, or even like Patrick Ewing coming to the Knicks, back in, 1985. So I just think that there's a perfect fit here. And the Brown family is not stupid, I can tell you that. And Mike Brown has always valued a strong quarterback presence on the team. That's why me, Kenny Anderson, Carson Palmer, and Andy Dalton lasted as long as we did and got paid what we did to play for that franchise. So it's not a place for quarterbacks to go and die. It's a place for quarterbacks to go and flourish. And I think, given the fact that they gave the money to A.J. Green, that they're going to have their full offensive line back this year, and that they have Joe Mixon in the backfield, I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to be Rookie of the Year, but he certainly will have a chance because I think he'll be the starter on day one.
We're talking to Boomer Esiason, NFL Today on CBS studio analyst, and, of course, Morning Drive co-host on WFA. And is it more of a fear of taking Tua or a fear of passing on Tua, do you think, in the draft?
I think it's more a fear of taking him just simply because of the injury history. And then when you listen to guys like Mike Tannenbaum and Mike Lombardi just absolutely destroying Tua, you wonder if there's some sort of conspiracy thing going on between Nick Saban and Bill Belichick to get Tua up to New England, although I don't necessarily know that the Patriots have the draft capital to do it. He's left-handed, and I think it's Left-Handers Day here today on the Dan Patrick Show, as I have seen all your guests. So I'm rooting for the young man. I think he's a terrific young man. I've never seen a guy this accurate come out of college. I mean, that's the one thing that I do really love about him. The injury factor does concern me, but, that could happen to anybody. So look what happened to Drew Brees his last game in San Diego. He came back and has had a Hall of Fame career with New Orleans and Sean Payton. So hopefully he gets to the right place where he doesn't have to get thrust into playing right away, that he can actually have a few more months to protect that hip and then come hit the ground running in 2021.
I was also wondering about this, Boomer, where I've talked to Steve Young about it, this left-handed quarterback, and, these teams are built for a right-handed quarterback, but how much of a difference is it now in today's NFL if you have a left-handed or a right-handed quarterback?
I think it took a while for the receivers just to get used to me when I was playing. I remember Chris Collinsworth used to say there was like an 8 to 10 inch difference of where the ball comes out of the pocket. And, sometimes it gets a little wacky if you're not used to playing with it. But, these guys are so good, and Tua is so accurate that I don't really think it matters. The other thing about Tua, he throws what I consider and I describe as a very catchable ball. It almost like it floats right into the hands of the wide receivers. Now, a lot of the wide receivers there in Alabama were wide open, so we have to see him at the NFL game and at the NFL level to see if the ball does have enough jump on it. I think it does. I think he's got more than a strong enough arm, and I think that his accuracy, like I said, is really outstanding. So I give him 5 stars on accuracy. I'll give him 5 stars on his arm strength. The thing that I hold back is the injury aspect of it, and that's a big aspect, I think, for NFL talent evaluators.
I had Chris Fowler on yesterday, and I said, what was your reaction first time you met Joe Burrow? And he went, extremely confident. And I said, yeah, that's the first thing that jumps out when you meet him in person. And I said, well, what about Tua? He said, the ball comes off his hand differently. That he and Herb Street were talking about, it's just different. And I said, of all the quarterbacks, he said, I'm just telling you, it comes off his hand different. How do you explain that?
It's just natural. It's something that, it's like watching Kyler Murray. It's like watching Andrew Luck. Some of the great players that we've seen, come through these drafts. You know it when you see it, and I know exactly what they're talking about. And Tua's got a beautiful natural motion. There's nothing you have to change. And, the one thing I remember when I first got to the NFL, Bruce Coslett was my offensive coordinator in Cincinnati, and he used to yell at me all the time, get your elbow up, because when my elbow was down, I would end up sailing the football and throwing it over guys' heads. And he would work with me on my motion and everything else. I was trying to do everything all natural. So I had to fundamentally change the way that I would do things. I don't think you have to do any of that with this kid. This kid just was like born, came out of the crib throwing the football, and he just does it so naturally. And that's the beauty of it. And as far as the confidence is concerned with Joe Burrow, here's what I love about that. He's going to go to a team. There's a perception, obviously, around the Bengals, and we all get it. But I'm here to debunk that in some respects, because most of us quarterbacks that have gone there had pretty good careers, pretty good numbers. And I know Andy Dalton didn't win a playoff game, but, they went there. And Marvin Lewis was there for 16 years. So believe it or not, it's somewhat stable, and they do take care of their own, and they will pay their own guys. And what they need is a personality just like Joe Burrow to walk into that locker room when everybody knows that he is the leader. And that's what I believe will happen. And that's why I think it's a great fit for the Bengals.
I'll leave you with this, Boomer. Odell Beckham Jr., I know that there was rumor that maybe he's on the move to Minnesota, and I think subsequent reports have said that that's not true. But, with what happened with New York and you being in New York, like, where did things change for Odell Beckham? And do you think that he can get that back, that whatever he had?
Hey, Dan, I think he hated playing with Eli Manning. And I think that he made no bones about it. When he did the interview with ESPN and Lil Wayne right there, unable to say a nice thing about his quarterback, Eli Manning, who's revered here in New York, that's the moment that it really, truly went downhill. He pulled the antics on the field, going to get the fluids before halftime even started, or, lifting his leg in Philadelphia like a dog on a pasture. So all those things kind of added up. But that one interview where he just could not say anything nice about Eli Manning, I think, was the end game for most of New York Giant fans here in New York. And, it's a combustible relationship when you think about the two personalities, Odell and Baker Mayfield. So there may be some truth to the discussion that he could be on the move again. But then again, I was saying to myself, I don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to want to deal with that.
No, and Mike
That's a lot of
Zimmer.
heavy lifting.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer's not going to want to deal. Why would you trade a headache to get a headache?
Yeah, that's why I find it hard to believe, but I understand with Stefanski coming from Minnesota, I can understand if there was a possible conversation. Yeah. I just don't see it happening.
The New York team that will make the playoffs first, the Jets or the Giants?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm going to say the Jets only because I think they're maybe in a better situation in their division right now than the Giants are. The Giants have an untested head coach. They haven't been able to get together. They'll have a second-year quarterback. I think offensively they're going to be pretty good, but I still think defensively they're probably a couple of years away from being what I would consider a playoff defensive team.
Buy stock in Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones?
You know what? I buy stock in Daniel Jones, and I buy heavily because I just think the kid showed more than I ever expected, and he looks like the real deal. Sam, I think, has gone through some tough growing pains with the mononucleosis and all that other stuff, but I also think he plays a little bit of he needs to refine his game is really what I'm saying. In the pocket, he looks a little nervous to me still. And I think that still bothers some of the accuracy issues that he has. So he's got to calm down. Hopefully this year will be a year that we'll start seeing that.
Boomer, great stuff as always. Glad you got a chance to clarify the Joe Burrow, LeBron James stuff. We appreciate your time as always.
All right, Dan. Good to talk to you.
That's Boomer Esiason, NFL Today on CBS. Yeah, I roughed up Boomer yesterday. I was like, wait a minute. This isn't like LeBron in Cleveland. LeBron grew up in Akron, which is in the shadows of Cleveland. We make it seem like Joe Burrow, grew up in Cincinnati. He didn't. But Boomer was trying to clarify that. Put it in context, as we like to say. We got a winner on Fritzy's scoreboard. Today's winner is Andy in Illinois. 70 and 99 are the two numbers that Todd put up there. Would you like to give us a hint on what those numbers mean?
They are historic numbers, and I can share with you the reasoning behind 70 and 99 if you're prepared for that.
I am prepared for that.
April 16th, 1996, the Bulls win game number 70, surpassing the 71-72 Lakers, most single-season wins in a season. They finished 72-10, but on this date, they won number 70. 99 for two reasons. Wayne Gretzky retired. He wore number 99, and he retired on this date in 1999.
Oh. Okay, so 416 came in that you put up the number 4 and 16, which is today.
Which is today's date. But the actual numbers, the winning numbers are 70 and 99.
Oh, okay, so maybe Mario saw the 4 and the 16 on this date and, didn't see the 70 and the 99, maybe.
Quite possible.
Okay.
Mario, and we make mistakes.
Thank you, Todd. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, because if you just put 4/16, the date up there, you have to guess anything that happened in history on that date. It's really open.
Jeff in Detroit. Hey, Jeff, what's going on today?
What up, though, Dan? What up, though? One time for chat row. Listen, I've had this burning sensation in my heart and in my soul forever, and I think you might have the answer.
Oh,
how is it that Isaiah Thomas got nixed from that 1992 Dream Team? Was it because of Jordan?
Yes.
Because there's no way that you could tell me.
Yes.
That Stockton is better than him.
Well, they're different. They're different.
Yeah, but, I mean, people forget that 1988 performance in the finals.
Oh, no, Jeff, they're different. That's just Isaiah is capable of doing that. John Stockton was not, but John Stockton would run a team better than Isaiah would, because Isaiah would get into these one-on-one battles. His players would talk about it. If Isaiah had a slight against you, a grudge against you, he was going to try to embarrass you. Stockton never did that. So they're different players, but it came down to, from what I was told, Michael Jordan did. Nobody wanted Isaiah on that team. Yeah, Paulie.
There's even a moment, if you watch the Dream Team documentary that's on NBA TV all the time, where Jordan sits down for an interview and he says to the person, he goes, "No Isaiah Thomas questions." I mean, it's that blatant. They discuss it.
Yeah, they didn't like Isaiah.
Remember the freeze out at the...
No, they didn't like him. And Michael's saying, hey, But you had Chuck Daly as the coach, right? So imagine you have Isaiah's coach, but you can't have Isaiah. How did Chuck, I never heard how did Chuck Daly try to calm that down? That he's the coach of the Dream Team and Isaiah was not on the Dream Team. But I think it was Magic and it was Larry and it was Mike. And they're like, we don't want him on here. I don't know if Charles was in that either. All right, we'll take a break. Last call for phone calls. We'll come back, tell you what's in store tomorrow, right after this in the Dan Patrick Show.
This is your big opportunity. You've been working your whole life for this. Super Bowl, New York City. Let's do this.
T-Frizzle, let's go. You're up.
What up, New York City?
Super Bowl 2014.
Yeah, boy. Two number one seeds getting ready to clash. We're all itching for kickoff. This ain't no rash. No time for horsing around. This one's no joke. The best from each conference are going for broke. So many to throw to, from Thomas to Decker, and Moreno and Ball, that might raise your...
Yeah.
Check this out. Young Russell is ready.
On Denver's team, you make beast.
Better break out the Skittles for feeding the beast. So get your mouth ready. We know Sherman's is quick. Show me your blanket coverage and find something to pick. Yo, give it up for Kelly James. What you got, Kelly?
The Seahawks so lethal. That red zone's like a free throw. When it's crunch time on the goal line, Pete knows go beast mode.
The Orange Crush is around, sporting Woodyard already. Thinking about those Rocky Mountains might make you unsteady. Now ride like a Bronco and curse all you can. Get Big Apple freaky.
Don't bring the 12th man.
The city never sleeps. Come pop my cork. Lot of holding in contact all night in New York. Seahawks and Broncos, no Sean, you can't wait. Now assume the position for Super Bowl 48.
We out.
So we thought...
There you go. Oh.
That Paulie is going to play the role of Brady.
Okay.
And you get a chance to stop Brady this time.
All right.
So, open field. This is...
Dan, a moment to
Open
speak.
field.
He's not getting by.
All right, don't hurt him too bad.
Let me check my footing here. I don't know about your turf here.
You're good.
Yeah.
Lifelong Bears fan.
No.
Put it on the table.
Well, I remember last time I
It was his
it.
idea.
Yeah.
Father of two.
Congratulations.
No, we'll say this at your funeral.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready? No.
So I'm kind of dropping back. Oh, look, he's running. All right, hold on. What are you gonna do? I don't want to get juked again. So tell me what you're gonna do.
I'm doing I'm slower than Brady.
I don't want to get juked again, so I'm not gonna go in full speed.
So I'm going
Here we
juke,
go.
juke,
For one.
and then going that way.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Which way you going? Give me the ball.
Yeah!
There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Take that, Brady.
Yeah, there we go.
Take,
Give me that ball.
Take that, Brady.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Yeah, that's what
you did the
should
first
have
down?
done.
Oh, if it would have been that easy. If Tom once just said I would have went like this and that.
Some questions.
Okay, he's in concussion protocol.
Oh, you're out.
Look at this. Look at this.
Little local takeout.
Supporting the local brewery here. It's called Dockside Brewing in Milford.
Brand new.
And the guy who helped us when we had Red Hook as a partner, he worked at Red Hook, and we came up with Audible Ale. He was the brewmaster, and that won the gold medal at the Beer Cup.
This is cold, too.
I love the color of that.
Yeah.
So, our good buddy Andy and Dockside Brewery.
Andy's like the best friend you can have. He always brings beer.
I should taste this just to.
Quality control.
Yep, that's beer.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is. You know, you could probably get to a point in the evening when you're by yourself and you talk to her. Like, I could just talk to her. Like St. Pauli girl. I think I talked to her a couple of times.
Times are tough.
Just held her up and said, hi, how are you?
I was quarantined from women for a long time. Let's put it that way.
I was self-quarantined.
Yeah, they didn't want me around.
Yeah, that's good.
Gotta run.
I'm glad. So that's a local, so I got wings, I got salad, I got everything. Beer. Now we do have a rule here. Guys in the back have to wait until 15 minutes after the show.
There's some anger.
One day the French kid was outside on a Meat Friday.
Busted.
And I walked out and it was 12:07 and he was taking a bite and I go, WTF? And he goes, what do you mean? I said 12:15 rule.
Did you smack the food right out of his mouth?
I did not. I did not. I thought about doing that.
Philly egg rolls, I love those. I never get those.
We got it all. 12:15 rule, boys in the back. Let's close up shop here. Over 2 million have voted in this year's Meat Madness. It's number 1 seed Brandon in Ohio facing off against number 5 Angel in Florida. So the championship will be crowned tomorrow at around this time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I don't know what's on Friday's show. Do you know, Paulie?
I know Toddler knows.
Oh, Todd, can you tell me what I'm supposed to know?
We're going to have the PGA Tour Commissioner, Jay Monahan, tomorrow, and Jason Hare, the director of ESPN's The Last Dance.
Should I ask him why I wasn't included in?
You definitely should. Like
over 100 people were interviewed for the documentary, and it's a 10-part series. Couldn't they have squeezed in me for a, instead of J.A. Adonde, couldn't they have slipped me in there? Man. Yeah, McLovin.
I had forgotten that the Bulls won some titles in the 90s and that the Bears won in 85. I'm so glad all these documentaries are out there to remind us of Chicago's dominance.
Anytime there's somebody who has something to do with the Chicago winning and there's a documentary, Paulie goes, well, we should have him on. We should have him on. I go, all right, we'll have him on. What do you have there? Your background.
Well, in the break, you guys were talking about all the beer and food and stuff that you had.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I'm doing the last segment from the beach, so
nice.
It almost looks like that fake Corona of the canvas there with Tony Romo and John Gruden when they're taking phone calls on the beach. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I like that.
Gonna have a beer over here.
It looks like Wayne's World when they're in front of the green screen. We're in Delaware.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got
you know
some-
what? Actually, I'm going to San Francisco. Never mind.
We got some beer delivered here, local brewery, Dockside, and some wings. Some what are those egg rolls you got?
Philly cheesesteak rolls.
Oh, sorry about that, McLovin.
I love Philly cheesesteak rolls.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll let you know how they are.
Dang.
You know what? We can Zoom if you want and watch us eat.
I'm trying to get some grilled cheese started over here, but not happening.
I did not know this, and I'm going to guess the audience doesn't know this either. The first quarterback was taken in a draft in the Super Bowl era. I'll give you the team, and I don't think you'll get it. The Indianapolis Colts in 1988, the first quarterback selected went 76th overall. That'll give you an idea about quarterbacks and the importance of quarterbacks back then as opposed to now. The Colts waited until the 76th pick to take this quarterback. Yes, Paul, you want to guess?
Mike Pagel?
No. It's a good guess because they drafted Art Schlichter earlier, and they drafted him. I think he was a first-round pick. This guy played a long time. He played in the Super Bowl. Second on the list is pick 53, Danny White to the Cowboys. Tony Banks, 42nd. Tony Banks, the first quarterback selected in 1996. He was 42nd overall. Boomer Esiason was the first quarterback by the Bengals in 84. He went 38th. Randall Cunningham went 37th in 1985 to the Eagles. Chris Chandler went to the Colts in 1988, the first quarterback taken, 76th pick overall. I found it interesting. Paulie, let's see, this day in sports history.
I got a couple. Jackie Robinson made his debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers. His first major league hit was a bunt.
Wait, did you see on Jeopardy where I think Alex Trebek, the answer was Jackie Robinson, the player who broke the color barrier, and somebody said Babe Ruth, a college student said Babe Ruth. That's not what we were looking for. Yes, Paulie.
Unfortunately, we have the audio of that, Dan. We weren't going to embarrass this person, but now let's do it.
All right.
One of the topics covered in a Major League Baseball course at Arizona State is this player who broke the color barrier in 1947. Shauka.
Who is Babe Ruth?
Nope. Nathaniel.
Who is Jackie Robinson?
All right.
All right. Hey, we make mistakes. We make mistakes. I do it all the time. Yeah, Paul.
The other one in sports history, blank threw the first no-hitter in Colorado Rockies history. This is in 2010. Can anyone name the first no-hitter in Colorado Rockies history? What was the name of the pitcher? If you can name it, I'll give you, check my wallet, $6. Anyone in the room?
Does his first or last name begin with the letter A?
No.
B.
His first name.
C.
I'll give you a hint. His name is Ubaldo Jimenez.
No, okay. That's close.
Can anyone get it now?
Ubaldo Jimenez.
I'll give it to you.
Oh. I knew I had a vowel in there. I thought it was A.
Did you say you knew it had a vowel in there?
A vowel. Like to start his name.
Uh-oh.
He had a vowel.
At some juncture.
Yeah. No, his first name began with a vowel. That's what I should have said. Then I would have gotten some damn credit.
Ubaldo.
No comments.
Final results of the poll question.
You like old school or new school uniforms? 85% old school.
Now, Todd, that was funny, and I
thought there was going to be a shot there coming up with
No, I didn't
Ubaldo.
want to pick on you and say we have a Ubaldo here on our
knew that
staff.
was
No, I
coming.
wasn't going to do that.
You weren't gonna
You forced me to do it.
Exactly.
Ubaldo
Except-
Fritz.
Todd Baldo.
Not necessary at all, really.
New character.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, but you make me want to say it again, Ubaldo. Todd, what did you learn today?
Dan Orlovsky says the fear of taking to is stronger than the fear of passing on him.
All right. I think that's the general consensus. McLovin.
I learned that Todd wanted to be very specific that it was really Mario who screwed up the scoreboard.
Yeah, I know.
I had no problem throwing him under the bus.
Seton O'Connor.
Boomer Esiason's thoughts largely taken out of context.
I guess so. By yours truly. Paulie?
New nickname, Ubaldo.
Ubaldo. What we learned brought to you by LegalZoom. They made it easy to set up the right estate plan without you leaving your home. Take care of your family today. Right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. Thanks for joining us, letting us be part of your lives. Be safe, be smart. Talk to you tomorrow.